Good evening, everyone, and welcome to everyone in the gallery and those joining us online for what will be a big meeting on the 24th of November. We've got a number of items being both the Mayor and Deputy Mayor election, but also some very important agenda items for our community. Agenda item 1 is the acknowledgement of country, and I invite Councillor Cowan to acknowledge.
Thank you. Wodonga Council acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first peoples of the country. We also acknowledge them as traditional owners and custodians across various lands. We pay our respect to their ancestors, elders, children and young people. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and recognise their continuous connections to lands, waters and communities across the country.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Agenda item 2 is apologies, leave of absence and attendance by electronic means, and there are none known at this time. Moving to agenda item 3, which is the Good Governance Pledge. Councillor Knight has volunteered to read that.
Wodonga councillors have committed to 1, undertake the duties of the office councillor in the best interests of the municipal community. 2, abide by the Model Councillor Code of Conduct and uphold the standards of conduct set out in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. 3, faithfully and impartially carry out and exercise the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in the office of councillor under the Local Government Act 2020 and any other act to the best of their skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Agenda item 4 is declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any? If I could just note that I have a general conflict of interest regarding agenda item 8.2, Huon Hill, and that interest is that I am very good friends with Bill Perry, previous owner of the Huon Hill and also advocate for the development. So I'll be excusing myself for agenda item 8.2. Which now moves us to the election of Mayor and Deputy Mayor, and I will vacate this position and hand over to the CEO who will be running that agenda item.
Thank you, councillors. So I've circulated a copy of the process for tonight. And first of all, we'll deal with the item of the term of the election of the mayor. Do I have a mover? Councillor Quilty.
Now I would like to move an alternative recommendation that the term of the office for the mayor be 1 year.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Knight. Thank you. Councillor Quilty, would you like to speak to that?
Just briefly, as long as I have been on council, which is approximately 5 years, we have had the mayor elected for 1 year, and in my experience, it has worked really well. A year is a good time for a councillor to get the ropes of the job and to get something done. Probably not enough to get a lot done. The council can always be re-elected. We are now almost in the 2nd year of council. Should we elect a council for 2 years, it will create a slightly awkward situation if we elect a mayor for 2 years and then we'll be re-electing somebody for 1 year for the final year of council. It's probably not going to work as well as if we just continue.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Councillor Knight is seconder. Any other councillors? Would you like a reply?
And I think that's fine.
So going to the vote then, those councillors in favour of that: Councillor Knight, Councillor Meldrum, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall and Councillor Goble. That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. So that's a 1 year term for mayor. And now I will take nominations for the position of mayor. Councillor Cowan.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Michael Goble for mayor.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Aldridge. And Councillor Goble, do you accept that?
I accept the nomination. Thank you, CEO.
Councillor Quilty.
I would like to nominate Councillor on Mildred.
And do we have a seconder? Councillor Hall. Councillor Mildren, do you accept that nomination? Okay. Okay. Any other nominations for me? Okay, very good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is in the order of nominations, the nominees may speak for up to 3 minutes each, and then each councillor then gets an opportunity to speak. So we'll start with Councillor Goebel.
Thank you, CEO. I'd like to start by thanking councillors who have nominated me and seconded my nomination to be mayor for a second year. It's been an extraordinary privilege to have been mayor for over the last 12 months, leading a team of councillors supported by Michelle Cowan, Deputy. As a first-time councillor and a first-time mayor, it has been a steep learning curve and much has been learned. I thank you for your support as we have learned to work together as a team to deliver for our community. It has been an incredibly busy time from the induction of this new council, the adoption of the community vision, a new council plan, a municipal public health and wellbeing plan, and a budget. Much has been achieved in the elected council, having adopted a council plan that provides clear direction to the organisation and our community. Together, we have identified a number of key priorities and have been delivering on these initiatives. This is evidenced by the resourcing of an executive economic development and advocacy manager to help attract business, investment and employment opportunities to Wodonga, and that in delivering on this investment in Wodonga will reduce the overall rate burden of our existing rate base while building a regional city that can be an exemplar in regional Victoria. Council has also kicked off on the development of our youth strategy that will help identify opportunities for Council's role in supporting our youth. There are always opportunities for improvement, and we have initiated some early work on exploring options for potential priority community infrastructure projects. We're doing this all while continuing to reduce our debt, having been reduced from approximately 9.5 million to around 3.5 million as of the start of this financial year. As Mayor, you have supported me to advocate on behalf of our community the issues that our community has told us are very important to them. Whether it's advocacy for a new hospital on a new site, the fight against the ESVF and particularly its impact on primary producers, or our advocacy against the introduction of the fourth bin. In my tenure as Mayor, I have done my best to foster a spirit of collaboration with the council team, understanding that we're all here wanting the best for Wodonga and our community, while respecting that we may have different views as to what that may be and the pathway to get there. Far from this difference being a source of conflict, I see it as an opportunity for us to find consensus. Often through disagreement and robust, respectful discussion, better outcomes can be achieved. Outcomes that better reflect the diversity of our life experiences and the communities we represent. It is with this lens of continuing to seek consensus for what is best for our community and building Wodonga into the great regional city it deserves to be that I seek the support of my fellow councillors for an additional year of being Mayor of this great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goebel. Councillor Mildren.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. The question we need to consider tonight is, do we want to be seen as high rating and high spending, or do we want to be seen as conservative and financially responsible? A lot of people will form their views based on the answer to that question and how we vote tonight. Not only will how we vote influence future electoral prospects for each of us around the room, but it will contribute to the opinions that our community form about us and our daily lives, impact on our daily lives. I believe the resounding by-election result is overwhelming evidence of the community rejection of the first-year position of this council. The Wodonga community wants strong conservative management of ratepayers' money and council assets. The community wants sound strategic planning to ensure that infrastructure and services keep pace with our rapid growth. The community wants continued high standard maintenance of our parks and our gardens, our sporting facilities, community buildings and streetscapes. The community wants action to keep rate rises down and the cost of living in check. During the by-election, I heard numerous community concerns that the quality and standard of maintenance of our roads, sporting facilities, parks and gardens and streetscapes is slipping. I heard that the balance between physical services, delivery and administrative expenditure has changed to the detriment of routine maintenance. I heard concerns that this council thinks more about rainbows than roads, about minorities over majority. The community clearly wants routine maintenance and delivery of high standard asset management and infrastructure. The community wants solutions, not perpetual talk about the problems with constant pleading for more money. The community wants council to plan for growth and prioritise capital spending to support growth. We have a very significant military base expansion and renewal happening in our city, yet we have done nothing or very little to accommodate the growth. Our community has recognised that our road infrastructure is not keeping pace with the growth and standards are dropping accordingly as traffic congestion increases. We are a rapidly growing city that is not keeping up with infrastructure to accommodate that growth to the high quality of life we are accustomed to. I seek to refocus priorities to accommodate growth and to show responsible money management. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Meldrum. Councillors, there's now an opportunity for up to 3 minutes each to speak in respect to the nominees, and I'll take it by show of hands. Councillor Cower.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to nominate Councillor Michael Goebel for the role of Mayor of Wodonga. I've had the pleasure of working alongside Michael for the last year, and I can assure councillors that Michael brings a steady, thoughtful and community-minded approach to his chamber, to this chamber. He listens carefully, he works collaboratively, and he consistently puts Wodonga's long-term interests at the centre of every decision. Over the past year, Michael has clearly demonstrated the value of his extensive experience that he brings to this role. He draws on that background to strengthen our governance, improve our decision-making and keep us focused on the decisions that will improve Wodonga now and into the future. Michael's role on the board of the Municipal Association of Victoria has been another significant asset to Wodonga. His contribution to the MAV is to bring statewide policy reform and sector-wide improvement with the lens that Wodonga offers. This brings real benefits back to Wodonga, ensuring our community's needs are heard at the highest levels and we remain aligned with the best practice local government reform across Victoria. Councillor Goebel's commitment to the long-term future of Wodonga is evident in every conversation that he has and every contribution he makes. Michael understands the responsibilities of this office and the expectation that community rightly places on us. I am confident that he is the right person to guide us through the coming year. He is focused, he is fair, he will not cause a riot in this room, he will work for the best interests of the people of Wodonga, and he will remain deeply committed to the people that we serve. And I am deeply proud to nominate Councillor Michael Goebel.
Thank you, Councillor Cower. Any other councillors? Councillor Aldridge.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I feel like I'm reading a school report right here. Michael has demonstrated outstanding leadership over the past year. His work ethic is second to none, and his commitment to our community is evident in everything he does. He brings strong ties across Wodonga. He's present, he's approachable, and he genuinely cares about the people we represent. Michael's sharp financial acumen has been invaluable. He has been a steady and thoughtful voice, ensuring that we remain fiscally responsible while still delivering for our community. He's also fought hard on key advocacy positions, particularly on issues that matter deeply to Wodonga's future. And his passion and knowledge for logic are incredibly timely and incredibly important. We're fortunate to have someone who not only understands the complexity of the project, but also approaches it with a genuine vision. Michael has proven himself reliable, relatable, and deeply committed to good governance. And I believe his continued leadership will ensure stability, clarity, and strong direction for the year ahead.
So any other councillors? Councillor Quilt.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we speaking to each nominee in turn, or are we speaking to all the nominees? All the nominees. Okay. Well, I would like to start by thanking Councillor Gobble, our first-year mayor, for his efforts. As he quite fairly pointed out, it's been a tremendous task to be first-time councillor and first-time mayor, and I think he has given it his best and put his best foot forward, all the way maintaining his energetic and jovial presence and demeanour. So thank you for that. Now, I have experienced a lot of good moments in the first year under Councillor Gobble's leadership. However, I would like to ask for support for Councillor Mildred. I apologise for having not written my speech because I'm recommending Councillor Mildred for the position from the bottom of my heart. I believe that I can speak by her. I have had the pleasure of working with Councillor Mildred as a councillor for 4 years and 1 month. And I have been working as a councillor under his leadership as mayor for 2 years in the previous council. It was a very difficult time for council. We had an unfortunate and sad passing of one councillor. We were coming out of COVID, and we had a monitor working here with us for 1 year. And Councillor Mildred, while leading the council, has done an outstanding job. Councillor Mildred led us in advocacy for new hospital. He led us in reworking our budget, which was in a very dire situation and which previous council left in a very solid, steady, future-oriented and focused state, and with a lot of maintenance and capital works and gross budgeted for. Councillor Mildred demonstrates strong values, and I support each and every one of them. Councillor Mildred brings a lot of experience, both in working for local government, in serving as a councillor and mayor in local government, and his professional acumen and commercial acumen from running his own business. Councillor Mildred's behaviour and ethics are always exceptional. He has utmost respect for the Local Government Act, for our governance rules, and for the Code of Conduct. I can always rely on Councillor Mildred's advice and support, and I'm sure each and every councillor will do the same should Councillor Mildred receive this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilt. Yeah, Councillor Hall.
I'm going to try not to double up on what Councillor Coulty has said. With the mayoral vote, for me, it'll come down to this. Who is best to lead with having a commitment to keeping our council rates lower, financial management, commitment to reducing wasteful, unnecessary spending, and is focused on the maintenance of our roads, parks, sporting fields, pathways and council infrastructure. When I ran for last year for council, my candidate statement was something that I believed in, not just to get elected. It was something that I wanted to achieve. Our community should have the same, have the expectation that we work to deliver what we say. I want to see a mayor who will lead the council, will focus on the basics and do them well. This is a comment I hear all too often from people that I engage with in the community. In a recent local government survey, the Wodonga Council, on the Wodonga Council, it highlighted key issues amongst the respondents. Some of them were like sealed road maintenance, our rates being far too high. I'd like to see leadership on unnecessary spending, policies and committees that are not focused on ideologies. A mayor who has respect and good knowledge for our governance rules and can guide councillors. This is why I'm supporting Councillor Mildred. Councillor Mildred's past achievements are on record. Councillor Mildred recently won, as he mentioned, the Lake Huon by-election with a lead of 580 votes after pre-Christmas, a substantial win by any means. The highest lead out of all the results in all of the wards. This, in my opinion, was a strong community endorsement for Councillor Mildren and for his past achievements on council. Councillor Mildren, whilst the mayor, oversaw a restructure of the council to get the council financial books back on track and out of a huge black hole. Exactly what Albury Council is dealing with now and going forward. They have a $20 million black hole debt in their financial position. I'm not keen to go down that track again. Councillor Mildren is not scared to do the heavy lifting. Without fiscal responsibility, support and direction from Councillor Mildren in past terms of council, our current council would not have been able to be in the position to pay off substantial debt of over $3 million that this current council has rightly paid back, but we wouldn't have been able to do it. It left us in a great financial position going forward, but we have to be mindful of how we spend going out into the future years. A direction that I'm concerned with this council going forward. This direction will not only put pressure on our budget, but also on our rate rises, both in the short and long term. As an issue I've worked so patiently hard on since I was first elected on council back in 2016, when Wodonga Council had some of the highest rates, not only in Victoria, but nationally. Worked so hard to rein this debt back and to get our council, to get our rates down over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Knight.
Yeah, we're pretty privileged to have two excellent candidates with both mayors at different stages. Mine will be pretty brief. Michael, I told you that I would judge you after 12 months, and I will with the vote.
Any other councillors, please? Okay, so we'll move to the vote. And I'll take votes for Councillor Goble first. Okay, Councillor Knight, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, and Councillor Goble. And votes for Councillor Mildren. Councillor Mildren, Councillor Quilty, and Councillor Hall. Congratulations, Councillor Goble.
So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Olga. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Let's get ready. Perhaps just before we go into 5.2, thank you very much for my colleagues' votes, and I don't take it lightly. I'm very humbled by the opportunity to be the Mayor of Wodonga for another year, and I'll be the Mayor for all councils, not just those that voted for me. Thank you very much. And also just acknowledging Councillor Mildren for putting his hand up. Democracy works when we've got choice, and so thank you very much for that. Agenda item 5.2 is the election of the Deputy Mayor, and I'm seeking nominations for the term of the Deputy Mayor. So the recommendation is there before us. Do I have a mover for that recommendation or an alternative? Councillor Hall?
I'll move that it's for 1 year.
With the seconder? Councillor Aldridge? Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, look, it just makes sense to have it in line with the mayor, and so that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Aldridge is the seconder.
Absolutely agree with Councillor Hall.
Right. Any other councillors like to speak to it? And if not, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? It's Councillor Hall, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Goble, Councillor Aldridge, Mildred and Councillor Knight, it's carried unanimously. Thank you. So moving to the election of the Deputy Mayor, now seeking nominations. Thank you. So I think Councillor Cowan, you were first there.
Thank you. I'd like to put myself forward for the role of Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. A seconder for that, Councillor Aldridge. Any other nominations? Councillor Quilty
Yes, I would like to nominate Councillor Hall.
and a seconder for that, Councillor Knight. Thank you very much. I'm now going to go to the nominees. Oh, yes, so just checking. So I'm assuming Councillor Cowan as the nominee is accepting her own nomination. Councillor Hall, you're accepting of.
I will accept it.
Thank you very much. So I'm now going to go to the nominees to speak to their. I'm assuming there's no other nominations given. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues, councillors, fellow councillors. I put myself forward for the role of Deputy Mayor for another year because I genuinely believe I can continue to serve this council and our community with the same energy and commitment and heart that it takes. Over the past 12 months, I've worked hard to be accountable, prepared and responsive. I bring a strong work ethic, a modern and inclusive approach and skills built through years in policy, governance and politics. I don't take these responsibilities lightly. I show up, I put in the hours and I do the work. I also have established a strong network of councillors across the state that I build upon regularly. Their insight and experience strengthens my own contribution and ensures Wodonga's voice is connected to the broader local government sector. I've stepped up wherever needed, serving on the Audit and Risk Committee, representing Wodonga on the Goulburn Murray Greenhouse Climate Alliance, and helping drive the Hospital Advocacy Alliance. But most importantly, I stay connected to the people of Wodonga. Every conversation, every message, every community event helps guide my decisions and keeps me grounded in the real experiences of the residents that we represent. As your Deputy Mayor, I offer inclusivity, kindness, and a genuine love for this city. I have the time, the ability, and the commitment to continue to serve as Deputy Mayor. I look forward to working alongside Mayor Goebel. I put my name forward humbly but unapologetically because I know I can continue to contribute and I remain fully committed to leading with integrity and heart. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Hall.
I haven't got quite as long a speech on this because of being, it's been a hard decision for me, but I will have something to say. And all I'm going to say is I have been serving as a councillor for around 9 years. One as a deputy mayor, so I've come into the role as an experienced councillor in a deputy role as mayor. In my role as a councillor, I strive to embody leadership, reliability, honesty, drawing from my local knowledge and engagement with our community to inform my decisions. I've always tried to focus on practical solutions rather than getting caught up in idealistic agendas. My primary goal as a councillor and for a possible deputy mayor position is to ensure our city is well governed, maintained and remains an affordable place for us all to reside. Leadership is an important role for both the mayor and the deputy mayor. Respect for our governance rules, for our community, for the people we work with, and I aim to be the best I can in the deputy role, mayor role, if I am elected.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. I'm going to open up to other councillors. Councillor Wilkie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My view of the world in relation to the deputy roles is that the deputy who ordinarily come from the people that supported the election of the mayor, because that would be consistent with the requirements under the Act for support of the mayor. It would be consistent with a whole range of other small p political things. And I think that's something that we have to take into account when we look at how we do our decision making in this. Having said all that, and I listen to and understand the history and the background and the experience that Councillor Hall brings to this position, I think there's a justification there for Councillor Hall to be elected into the position as well. In the circumstances we find ourselves in, the experience that Councillor Hall has could be absolutely invaluable to the mayor. So I think in this particular set of circumstances, I'll put my ideological viewpoints to one side and put the experience and the support from knowledge and background in preference over the ideology. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Eldred. Any other councillors? Councillor Cordy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my privilege to recommend Councillor Hall as a Deputy Mayor tonight, and I thank her for accepting this nomination. As Councillor Hall mentioned, she had doubts when I asked her this afternoon whether she would be considering accepting the nomination should I decide to nominate her, and that's for only good, not bad reasons. Councillor Hall gives her all and everything to working on this council, and she takes any role, be it councillor or deputy mayor, very seriously. Councillor Hall has experience being a deputy mayor, having served for 1 year in the previous term. Councillor Hall has served as a mayor for 9 years. Oh, sorry, as councillor for 9 years. Apologies. Although I would have no hesitation in recommending Councillor Hall as mayor, but she is not just a dedicated councillor, she is a dedicated family person with young grandchildren who she dedicates a lot of her personal time and her love to. So I'm so happy that she has accepted the nomination as deputy mayor. Councillor Hall brings a lot of experience, commercial acumen for having run a business locally with her husband for many years. She is very level-headed. She has the utmost support for governance rules, for code of conduct, for any legislation that governs the work of the council. She supports the growth of Wodonga while not sacrificing and being very careful with hard-earned ratepayers' money. She works tirelessly for the future of Wodonga, where her children work and where her grandchildren are growing up. And I believe, regardless of any political standing, of which I actually don't expect Mayor Mayor Goebel to have any problems with any political sides of this council, because Councillor Goebel numerously represented himself as a centrist to me. So I hold you to this word, and I hope that Councillor Hall gets elected, and I wish you a productive and fruitful year working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corty. Other councillors? Councillor Aldridge.
Over the past year, I've consistently heard from community members who value stability in our council leadership team. And Michelle is a huge part of that stability. She brings dedication, hard work, and a strong sense of responsibility to this role. Michelle commits herself to continual growth, not just here in the chamber, but through the effort she puts in behind the scenes to better understand issues, policy, and the needs of residents. She always represents the best interests of Wodonga, and she does it with integrity and sincerity. She engages at a high level with her community, particularly through her social media presence, which is open, accessible, and authentic. People know they can reach her, and they know she will listen. Michelle also complements the mayor incredibly well. Together, they have formed a cohesive, balanced, and effective team that has served this council and the community with respect and collaboration.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight.
Yeah, mine will be short again. Once again, we've got two really good candidates. We've got a year's experience as deputies. Again, it would be my view is slightly different to Councillor Mildren's. I think the community would love to see collaboration between councillors, and I think that's what the community is crying out for, seeing a council work together no matter what alleged allegiances anybody has. So I will be backing Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. As Mayor, I'll speak last. Unless there's any other councillor comments. Look, I've had an incredible privilege to being Mayor and had the privilege of working with Councillor Cowan for the last 12 months. And while knowing Councillor Cowan before us both becoming councillors, I knew Councillor Cowan as highly engaged, connected to our community and prepared to stand up and advocate for issues important to our community. Examples of this included her advocacy for better border health, for a new hospital, new site, the opposition to Dan Murphy's on Junction Place, and her role with Engage Wodonga. This observation was only further reinforced in my observations of Councillor Cowan's role as Deputy Mayor. In the last 12 months of her being Deputy Mayor, Michelle has applied herself tirelessly to fulfilling the role with commitment, diligence, and passion, and has arguably set a new benchmark in her dedication to the role of being Deputy Mayor. Leveraging her professional skills in community engagement, media management, and working with state and federal MPs, Michelle brings a great deal of experience and value add to our discussions, our deliberations, and our advocacy. She's brought these skills and knowledge to her membership of the Audit and Risk Committee, the Golden Murray Climate Alliance, the Alliance of Local Government Hospital Advocacy Group, and our CEO, Mayor and Deputy Mayor catch-ups. Councillor Cowan has also invested substantially in her role as Deputy Mayor through self-funded professional development, coaching, participating in a network of women in local government, professional development scholarships through MAV, and further training above and beyond the mandatory councillor training or Deputy Mayor training. This further underscores Michelle's deep commitment to her professional development and executing her remit as Deputy Mayor in the best interest of the Wodonga Council and the Wodonga community. In her role as Deputy Mayor, she has always been willing and available to support my role as Mayor in attendance at community events, as well as engage with community in her own role as Deputy Mayor. This is evidenced by her sincere interest in hearing from the community through intentional community engagement and representing the community's feedback with fairness and passion. Councillor Cowan is energetic, motivated, dependable, and a value contributor to the execution of my role as Mayor. She can always be relied on to put Wodonga and our community first. There are no other councillor comments. I'm now going to put the nomination of Councillor Cowan to a vote. All those in favour? So that's Councillor Cowan, Councillor Goble, Councillor Aldridge. All those who'd like to vote for Councillor Hall, a show of hands. Councillor Hall, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Mildren, Councillor Knight. It's carried in favour of Councillor Hall as the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Shake hands later.
I was going to come over.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm already. Yeah.
My chair.
So that's only one.
It's me. The next election, we've got a chance to like this.
Oh, no,
I'm picking up a house, so just trying to hear into that too.
No, are you moving?
Is it clean glass here? You want one? You want a clean glass, Michelle?
Stick on, but I think that
Yeah,
might
thanks. This one's brown. Yeah, dentist.
It's not better.
Too many germs going.
So before we move on to agenda item 6.1, which is the confirmation of minutes. If I could just perhaps Councillor can indulge me, I'd just like to formally thank the Councillor Cowan for all her support over the last 12 months as Deputy Mayor and all the work you've done with our community at events, our consultations, support you've given me in a number of different forums, whether it's at the Alliance meeting and other things. So thank you very much. But also to, again, congratulate Councillor Hall and again, look forward to working with you collaboratively in the spirit that Councillor Knight talked about. And very much look forward to developing that working relationship with you as Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Agenda item 6.1 is confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. There's a recommendation there before us. Thank you, Councillor Knight, seconded Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight, do you want to speak to that? No. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously, which now then leads us to. Am I moving too fast?
Sorry, I didn't vote on that.
I thought I saw a movement there, Councillor Cowan.
Yeah, I
It was an elbow movement.
but I've lost the pen in the news.
Well, I'm happy to put that vote to again,
Oh,
Do it again.
misinterpreting your elbow movement.
yes.
So I'm just going to put that to a vote again. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor Global, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Mildrew, Councillor Knight. It's passed unanimously. Which then leads us to the next confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover for that?
Oh, yeah, sounds like we did the both votes.
I'm having a my laptop's frozen. Sorry. Can I CEO rebooting that?
Would you like? Is my
Depends on how long it takes.
I was I'll be here.
So. Yeah, okay, thank you. Didn't like that. The laptop freeze. Excuse me. So we're up to agenda item 7. Quote question time. I understand, CEO, that one question has been submitted. Is that correct? From the community? And I'll have you speak to that, please.
Mr. Mayor, this afternoon we received one question from Angie Weinberg, I believe who's in the audience. I'll read that question out and then I'll ask Director Schultz to respond to it. So the heritage listing over 27 Hobble Street, Wodonga, is an area that is industrial. The front fence and gates of the house and 10 metres from the back door are proposed to be under the heritage overlay. The clearance on the opening to the driveway and the gates does not allow for a truck to clear the entrance. This leaves me in a very precarious position as the rest of the property is zoned industrial 1. The land is then at the rear comprising of approximately 1,200 square metres, then becomes basically an unsaleable piece of land. Should the whole block be heritage overlaid, I am now at a substantial financial loss, plus a loss to know what can be established. With the proposed heritage overlay on 27 Hobble Street, there will always be a house mix in the industrial buildings within the area. Kind regards, Angie. Director Schultz, should be able to provide a response to that, please.
Mr. CEO, thank you very much, councillors, and to the resident. We recognise the challenges that this particular property at 27 Hobble Street does present. The heritage overlay doesn't, or the heritage study doesn't contemplate a rezoning exercise. That is for the planning team to work through with the resident if an application is made. The challenges with the gates and the front fence are also recognised. Unfortunately, the best information we have received from the heritage consultant is that that doesn't override the significance of the front fence, and considering for council to consider a future overlay over the property, not the entire property, only the curtilage 10 metres beyond the back of the property. A future heritage overlay also doesn't preclude any works necessarily being undertaken on the front fence or the house. All it does require is a permit, a planning permit being applied for and considered, and without predetermining any outcome that suggestion that would be made in the future in the event that a heritage overlay is in fact placed for the property at 27.
Thank you, Director Schultz. Just for clarity, this is item 10.8 on council's agenda tonight, and I believe that the matters raised by the resident are included in the submissions for the report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. We move to agenda item 8, which is petitions. 8.1 is a petition for safer cyclists and pedestrian paths between Wodonga and Baranduda. There is a recommendation there before us. Do you have a mover or an alternative? Councillor Hall.
Okay, it's all the same except for a change item number 3. So that would change to reduce speed from Beechworth Road, Baranduda Boulevard roundabout for 1 kilometre during active school times.
Was it for? Aren't we dealing with that on 2.4? So yeah, it's
So I haven't moved for an alternative motion, but did you want to see?
I'm just clarifying. So,
Sorry, Councillor Knight.
yeah, sorry. So we're trying to set the speed limit in the petition.
It supports, so 1, accepts the petition and notes the content thereof.
Yep.
2, supports the provision of a 3-metre wide gravel shared path between Baranduda and Wodonga, and undertakes to consider the provision of such a path in future capital budget. 3, reduce speed limit from Beechworth Road, Baranduda Boulevard roundabout for 1 kilometre during active school times. 4, authorises the CEO to formally and accordingly respond to the petition contact person and thank them for their input into the matter.
Thank you. Councillor Woodridge, is looking to second or you?
No, I'm looking to foreshadow an alternate motion should this not be successful, in which point 3 would be removed altogether and which just includes point 1, 2 and 4, given that point 3 will be discussed later on.
Thank you for foreshadowing. Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Hall's moved an alternative motion. Is there a seconder for that alternative motion?
Clarity, it's a motion,
So,
not an alternative motion.
for a motion,
Sorry,
alternative to what's been recommended. So,
it's a motion.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
We're looking for seconder.
I was looking for a seconder
Oh,
to Councillor
look, I'll
Hall's
second
motion.
it for the purposes of debate.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to
Okay.
the motion?
The petition contains 325 signatures, 21 which were from outside Wodonga municipal area and 10 who preferred an 80-kilometre speed limit as opposed to the petition 60 kilometre hour per hour speed limit. I'd like to thank those who put their name on the petition and appreciate the time and effort they put into and the time and effort the petition is put into collecting signatures. However, I'm of the view that to change the speed limit to a 60-kilometre from Beechworth Road and Baranduda Boulevard, in my opinion, would create unintended road congestion. I use this road frequently and I see this speed changes as being problematic. The feedback from further on in the agenda states that they had 298 community responses, from which 121 of the responses suggested that they too support keeping the 100k kilometre per hour. However, I seek to impose the speed restrictions to 60k during safety school hours for the 1 kilometre length of the Baranduda Boulevard, and this will address safety concerns during active school times.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Courtney, would you like to speak to it as a seconder or is it your right?
I will speak briefly. I'm just like Councillor Knight and possibly as a councillor, a little bit confused with our attempt to deal with this issue at 2 items, at 8 and at 10. And I actually like Councillor Aldridge's proposition to deal with the speed limit, reduced or not reduced, later on in the agenda. However, I would like to hear other councillors who may present their argument for dealing with the speed limit now, and maybe they will convince me.
Good, thank you. I'm going to open up to other councillors. Councillor,
Yeah, I'll speak to this motion, and then should this motion not pass, I won't need to speak to the next motion. So I'll basically sum up what I was going to say. This petition, and thank you to anyone in here who was a signatory to that petition, and also anyone online. I really appreciate the feedback. It's great to see so many people invested in these issues. This particular petition, it kind of, I believe, needs to be broken into two. There's two components going on here, the cyclist and pedestrian path, and then the speed zone. So what I would be recommending in that is that we do deal with the speed issue later on in one of our reports for determination later on tonight. But we accept the petition tonight and then support the provision of a 3-metre wide path and looking at it in the future capital budget.
thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Any other councillors? Councillor Knight? Oh, sorry.
No, you were
It's okay. Wait.
Councillor Cowan.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I consider that what has been proposed in motion goes outside of the purpose of the report. That the report was to consider how we would respond to the petition rather than make any consideration about the particular speed limit at this time. So I would be also supporting Councillor Aldridge in saying that we should consider the speed limit in the paper that it pertains to.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillors? Councillor Knight?
Once again, thanks to the community. This is something that I campaigned on, or part of what I campaigned on. The 3-metre wide gravel shared path obviously is badly needed. But I also agree with Councillor Cowan and Aldridge in that I would like to deal with the speed reduction in the report 10.9. But I would definitely thank everybody for putting it in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I ask for the vote for perhaps Councillor Hall to reread the third component of the motion. Are you prepared to do that? You happy to do that for clarity purposes?
I can reread it.
Just number 3, and then I'll.
Which the one that's in the recommended or my?
Yours.
Okay. 3, reduce speed limit from Beechworth Road to Baranduda Boulevard, Beechworth Road, Baranduda Boulevard roundabout for 1 kilometre during active school times.
Capture that, Sue?
Yes,
Yep.
just got some concerns in regards to governance rules. Let me just give you a minute to read those.
Yeah, sure.
We do, Mr. Mayor, clause 65.6 of the governance rules talks about what council does in regards to motions in respect to petitions. And they are A, that the petition be received, B, that the petition be referred to the CEO for consideration and response, and C, that the petition be referred to the CEO for a report to a future council meeting. It also talks about the petition, if it is in respect to an item on the agenda, and that the item on the agenda, is my reading, should be the matter that deals with the process there. With a little bit more time, I can read this in a bit more detail and get some governance advice from the governance officer on whether the petition meets the requirements of the governance rules, as you would like to make a determination.
Councillor Mildred.
Mr. Mayor, this is the report from the CEO, which then puts it in the council law meeting domain to deal with as the meeting so sees fit. So the governance rules apply when you get the petition, but this is the report that has come about as a consequence of applying the governance rules in the first instance. So therefore, I see it as open for any decision at the council.
Okay, I'm happy to hold that as it proceed. Councillor Corby, you second the motion. Did you want to write a reply before I go to Councillor Hall?
I believe I've already used mine.
Okay, good. Sorry, thank you. So if there are no other councillor comments or questions, I'm going to go to Councillor Hall for a write reply.
Yes, look, I just what I put forward. I understand where the other councillors are saying coming from with because there's some confusion because it's being dealt with in two different areas of the agenda paper. But I was just dealing with what the recommendation was put in front of me and changing it to where I thought it needed to be changed.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. I'm now going to put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Mildred. All those against? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Coulty, Councillor Goble, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Knight. The motion has failed, and I'm now going to go to the foreshadowed motions. Councillor Aldridge, did you just want to, just for clarity purposes?
Yes, I'd like to read it out. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Putting forward an alternative motion, which is as per recommended with the removal of point 3. So that council accepts the petition and notes the contents thereof, supports the provision of a 3-metre wide gravel shared path between Baranduda and Wodonga, and undertakes to consider the provision of such a path in a future capital budget, and authorises the CEO to formally and accordingly respond to the petition contact person and thank the community for their input in this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, as the mover of the foreshadowed motion. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Cowan, seconder. Going to go to you, Councillor Aldridge, to speak to it. I know
I've already spoken to the motion, so.
I'll go to Councillor Cowan. Is that your right? I'm going to open up to other councillors to speak to your case. Other councillors? No? I'm going to go to Councillor Gowan. No?
Thank you. I think the recommendation speaks for itself in that we are going to be considering the business of the petition later in the agenda. So that removal of that clause makes good sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Aldridge.
Nothing else to add?
We'll put the amended motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, councillors. To lead us to 8.2 petition where I've declared a conflict of interest, I will now delegate the chairing of the 8.2 agenda item to the Deputy Mayor. I did specify it earlier in the meeting, but it's a general conflict of interest as I am very good friends with Bill Perry, who's the previous owner of Huon Hill. and who also continues to be an advocate for this debate. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hall.
Sir, baptism by fire. That's a long time.
Okay, all right, so we're at 8.2, petition Huon Hill Hotel electronic gaming machines. Do I have someone to put a motion forward? Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you, Deputy. I would like to move that the petitioners be advised that the council's decision-making role has been concluded in this matter.
Do I have someone to second that? Councillor Knight, do you choose to? Oh, Councillor Mildred, sorry.
Simply, the council has made its decision in relation to the elements of this issue. We know we do not have a formal decision-making process before us, so there is no point in leading the petitioners on. They certainly have the ability, if the matter goes to VCAT or if other things occur into the future, they certainly have the ability to consider where they sit with their rights to be part of that process. But we have no further process of decision-making. Our decision's been made. So my motion is that we advise them accordingly.
Councillor Knight, do you?
I concur with Councillor Mildred. It's something that's already passed. We've dealt with this already.
Do I have any other councillors?
Thank you.
Councillor Carroll.
Thank you. I don't disagree with Councillor Mildred in that respect that this has passed, but I do note that the petition was received by Council on Monday, the 27th of October, the very same day that Council granted planning or was asked to consider the planning permit approval for the use of 70 electronic gaming machines at Huon Hill Hotel. And I believe that the petition was intended to be an objection to the planning application and that there may have been a misunderstanding about the distinct roles of Council and the VGCCC in the approval process. To be clear, the VGCCC decides on the gambling licence for the machines themselves, while Council is equally responsible for the planning permit that allows the site to be used for gambling. A venue must obtain both approvals before it can operate electronic gaming machines. This is fundamental. And I want to say to those petitioners that went to the effort to bring that to our attention on the night of the application being approved, I want to assure those petitioners that I value their contribution and their efforts, and that I considered their concerns carefully in making my decision that evening. And I think we should have been considering it as an objection to the planning permit. I have concerns about the process that led to us not considering it, and I am considering referring it to the Audit and Risk Committee for further investigation. Thank you, councillors.
Any other councillors wishing to speak to the motion?
Councillor Mildred, would you please read your recommendation again?
That the petitioners be advised the council's decision-making role has concluded.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, Councillor Mildred, would you like to sum up?
Interested to note the comments of Councillor Cowan. If it were the case that the petition was entitled as a response to a planning application and it wasn't put before the council as a submission in response to a planning application, then we need to in my opinion, take action to include that submission in any third-party appeal rights. Now, the proviso that I put onto this is that the title to the petition must be explicit that it was referring to being in response to that application for permit. So if that were the case, then the remedy for what we should be doing is including it in the documentation as a submission that gives the potential for third-party appeal rights.
Councillor Callum.
I just want to ask a point of clarification, because on the night when we considered the application, the planning application, we were presented with a report with the submissions, which I note did not explicitly or specifically refer to the planning permit. So if your consideration is correct in saying that it needs to be directly explicit to the planning permit, then I think we had a number of supporters that should have been not considered in that planning in that sense. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
I don't recall the exact titles of every submission that was put in, but I accept the officer's report if they regarded them as submissions to the application for permit. Well, I accept the officer's report. If a future planning department audit shows something different, then so be it. But we have to take that on face value. We can't be double checking and double running and doing the job of our officers to check all of that. And I'd take your comment that it wasn't explicitly referring to the permit. So in that context, I suggest we put the motion.
Yes, we will put the motion to the. Yes, the CEO would like to make a response to you now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The governance around this matter has some significant investigation, and that is being conducted by our director. And I would just like to ask our director to those matters. I have been forwarded to councillors this afternoon, but I note that that advice has been late this afternoon, given when we were advised of the matter, and hence it's probably best for transparency for Mrs. Leggett to deal with that matter and provide some more information.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. So in relation to the petition that was received, the meeting agenda was published on October 27th, 2025. At that time, we did not list any petitions. Subsequently, council received 2 petitions on the day of the council meeting, and these were forwarded to councillors that afternoon for information. The CEO's email included that advice that we had received those 2 petitions, but have had not time to assess them. Those copies were provided, so councillors had that information for the agenda, but they weren't actually provided at the meeting. At the meeting, the CEO stated that today we received those 2 petitions, one for the Huon Hill and another one for the sake of cyclists and pedestrians. As both of those matters had not been received until late, they had been circulated for consideration. However, we needed to work on the requirements and that they would be presented at the November council meeting. So since that council meeting, officers have determined that the petition could have related to both the VG/CCC gambling application as well as the Huon Hill planning application, or both. It's important to note in the petition it wasn't clear, it didn't refer to the actual application details in relation to the planning application. Since then, the petition has been included in the agenda, recommending that the CEO provide a response on behalf of council. And we have processed it as a submission objecting to the Huon Hill planning permit application, and the petition organisers have been advised of the VCAT in process that they're entitled to.
Thank you.
Can I have a response?
That's for yes, you may respond.
I've just had a couple of alarm bells go off, and it concerns me if we are inadvertently putting third-party appeal rights where third-party appeal rights legally may not apply. If that petition did not explicitly reference what it was in, that it was in response to the application for planning permit, then there are no third-party appeal rights. And that's a really important component of planning law. So if we're incidentally looking to include them in a third-party appeal right and that legal right isn't there, then we open the door. There's an element of risk that comes with that from legal positions. They might go and spend money and get into VCAT, for example, and find that they don't have standing. And that could lead to all sorts of different outcomes. So my view is, so we put the motions and that the staff consider that those other things need to be carefully dealt with.
We've just a question, just based on what Councillor Mildred has just said. Talking about moving it to the officers for consideration and response, wouldn't perhaps we be better following the recommended motion, which is essentially saying that?
Through you, Deputy. Now, I don't agree with that. I think we shouldn't be abrogating a responsibility, but the administrative processes in relation to third-party appeal rights and whether or not the written word on the petition refers to the actual planning application, then that's an administrative process. And yes, the officers should be empowered to do all that stuff. But the actual decision making in relation to this, we should not be abrogating our responsibility. We should be dealing with it.
See what to respond to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In respect to that matter, it's been part of the governance investigation, and Mr. Schultz is in charge of that portfolio, so I'll ask Mr. Schultz to respond. Thank you, Councillor. Mildred's statement about the planning matters.
Yes, so on the early in November, a letter was addressed to the head of the contact version of the petition. And if I may read from the letter that was sent under the hand of our planning team, I advise that council has resolved to approve the planning permit application described above. It sets out what the planning permit was for. Enclosed was a notice of the decision that the council reached at its council meeting. The notice of decision does not authorize any use or development at this stage. Persons who have objected to the application have the right of appeal against this decision. Should an objector lodge an appeal, any appeal, this application will be determined at the Victoria Civil and Administrative Tribunal. We've also advised the writer or the contact person of the petition that they have until Wednesday the 26th to submit a review to VCAT.
So can I take that as given that the actual petition refers to the application for planning? It's critical.
Does that impact on the decision around this particular matter?
No.
So I'll disregard that then.
Okay.
Yeah, so point of order, yeah, I think that we need to stay on the question of procedure here and what we're dealing with. And the motion is there.
I agree.
Yes. Okay, I would like to put the motion to a vote. Those in favour? Councillor Mildred, Councillor Knight, Councillor Footy and Councillor Huon. Yes, okay. Yeah. So,
Those against, division, please.
okay, for a division. Those in favour? Councillor Mildred, Councillor Knight, Councillor Hall, Councillor Footy. Those not in favour is
It's against.
against,
Just, yeah.
Councillor Aldridge and Councillor Carroll. Okay, thank you. Now we're on to the next item, which will be the delegates report. Is that correct? No.
Yeah.
And the mayor will pop back into his seat.
Interrupt proceeding.
So no chance to talk? Okay, we're going to go. Those who requested coming right at the start of the meeting and they didn't come in, so.
Right.
Throw the things.
Oh, thank you.
Number 9.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Hall, for chairing the 8.2 agenda item, which now leads us to agenda item 9, which is the delegates report. And I, about 2 months ago, had the incredible privilege of attending the Regions Rising National Summit, which is held by Regional Australia Institute. It was a one-day event that myself, just to give us some background to the paper, CEO, was a one-day event that myself and the manager for economic development attended. There is a recommendation there before us. I have a mover for that recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Second, Councillor Hall. You want to speak to that at all, Councillor Knight? Councillor Hall? No. Any other councillor? Any questions to me? It was quite an informative conference around 4 major themes, which have been identified here, and some of them are particularly pertinent to our region, particularly workforce and trades, where there's a shortage of trades nationally. But I'm happy to speak to it further if there's any questions. If not, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Knight, Councillor Milgram, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Gogan, Councillor Hall, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Cowan. The motion is carried. Thank you. Which now leads us to the body of tonight's agenda, which is the reports for determination. The first one there is 10.1, the 2026 council meeting dates. There's a recommendation there before us. The mover for that. Thank you, Councillor Hall, and the seconder, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak?
Yeah, these are just the meeting dates for the year 2026 on Mondays. There's a list here. And it's just something that we need to do this time of year.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan.
Nothing further to add.
Any other councillors? If not, put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Quilty, Hall, Goble, Aldridge, Mildren, and carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 10.2, which is the Place Names Advisory Committee options for consideration. There is a recommendation before us. Yes. Sorry, Councillor Aldridge.
As recommended.
As recommended, a seconder. Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. Just the recommendation that the council adopts a Place Names Advisory Committee charter as per attachment 3 to this report. The council establishes a Place Names Advisory Committee as per the adopted charter, and the council notes that the appointment of a councillor as the chairperson to the Place Names Advisory Committee forms part of a later report to this council meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. Support that recommendation, and also very pleased to have heard from community members who are all ready and willing to put their hand up for this committee. And I think that it will be of great assistance to our developers in having a bank of suitable names that are ready to go, and committed community members that are contributing to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. We open up to the other councillors. Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support adding more layers of bureaucracy to the process of creating land for housing and all the other things. I think this is unnecessary. I think the process of having officers prepare reports and put them to the council are a more streamlined approach. I think we're just adding layers of bureaucracy for no real strong reason. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mildred. So, Councillor Cowan, is it a question on the motion or?
On the point that the councillor just raised there.
Is it a point of order? Is it a question to Councillor Mildred on comment that he made?
Yes.
So I wanted then.
It's just a point of clarification about.
A question of clarity?
Yes, about the process of bringing names to council. Would you like to elaborate on that, Councillor Mildred?
The process has been in place for some time since the committee was disbanded through lack of support. It was a process whereby we had officers that did the assessment in accordance with the legislative processes and wrote a report straight up to the council with appropriate recommendations. The council had the choice to accept or not accept the recommendations or to put an alternative if that was the case. It's much more streamlined than going out to committees and having that process and minutes of committees and all the rest of it. I've said my piece.
Perhaps I need to seek clarification about that from the CEO, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan, CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Cowan, there was a previous report in front of council that gave three different options. One was to set up a committee. One was to have the matter processed back to council for ultimate decision if the staff had done the work, which is what I believe Councillor Mildred is indicating. And the other option was put up to council was to fully delegate it to staff to make those decisions after the process was done. Don't recall the timing of that meeting unless someone else could assist me with that matter. But those, we can look at the previous report if you wish on that.
Councillor Cowan.
The point that I was trying to draw out was in relation to the role of the developers in the nomination of the names. Mr. CEO.
So my understanding is that developers can articulate whatever names they want, preferring that it is actually run through a process and approved prior to council being presented the report. So if they're not already approved names on council's list, they can be checked and the officer will include that in the
Officer Schultz.
If I may just add, this is not only about new names or new developments. This is also made in public places. So a new park, a new sporting stadium, a new room in a council building. This is not only for new residential developments. This also includes place names on a general basis. Majority of the work is admittedly new residential developments. But there are certainly occurrences where community input into public places is required.
Good, thank you. Schultz, any other councillors? Councillor Hall.
I might have to admit I'm in two minds about setting up a new committee. I enjoyed my time on this committee when I was chair. However, it did come with some issues from time to time, even even with the paying people to be on the committee, we often had issues with the lack of attendance by the committee members for all sorts of reasons. And at times it made it difficult to get enough members to achieve quorum to run the meeting, which was extremely frustrating when you roll up and other people roll up and then we don't have enough attendees. At times, the committee process was held up with decisions and not being on the same page as each other. So it's not as streamlined as you think. It's more streamlined the way Councillor Mildred has suggested. However, I don't want to be too negative about this. There are benefits as well as, it creates that community involvement in naming the process of like streets, parks, reserves, which, is a good thing. When I first got onto the committee, we didn't pay our members and they were all volunteered, and we probably had more turn up then than we did once they were paid. So that's the thing that, concerns me going forward.
For clarification, we still have to go through the legislative process, and where that requires public notice and consultation, then that's included.
Thank you, Councillor Mildred. Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Courtney.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors, for debate, questions and answers. I have spoken a number of times at various previous meetings about my regret to have lost the Place Name Advisory Committee. While I completely agree with Councillor Mildred on the point of creating extra layers of decision making, plus if we continue to pay the committee members and also cover their child minding costs should they need arise, it will come at a small cost to the council. I fully take on board the feedback of Councillor Hall because she has had experience with that committee. However, I would very much like to see the return of the committee. Last time the committee was finished with just due to the lack of interest from the community. And if we can revive this, it is a very valuable and meaningful way for members of the community to engage with council. I hope it is also viewed by as equally valuable and meaningful opportunity by community members applying. I will be supporting the restatement of the Place Name Advisory Committee, but I would advise that we consider the option for community members to volunteer on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cordy. Any other question to Director Schultz? You talked about the role of this committee being above and beyond just that of street names, and you referred to public places. The process for that at the moment, in the absence of the Place Names Committee, can you talk through that and how come that may be or not? Is it a relatively streamlined process?
I would probably battle to think of an instance where we needed to bring a public place name proposal to the council over the past maybe 12 or 15 months.
Yeah.
They have largely been road and subdivision related, Mr. Mayor. If there were to have been a naming of a park as an example, it would fall, as Councillor Woodland has correctly said, there are clear guidelines that need to be followed from a public exhibition point of view. Less so when there are new roads in a new estate where there is no community, as an example. But I can't recall a instance where we needed Place Names Committee as such to do a naming of a public place.
Thank you, Director Schultz. No other questions and comments. We'll go to Councillor Ridge.
Thank you, sir. Place naming is one of those responsibilities that seems simple on the surface, but as we've seen over the past year, it's anything but. It's important that we get it right. Names help shape identity, they honour history, and they reflect the character of our community. And as much as I do love the native plans, I think we can all agree that we want a bit more diversity and meaning in how we name places that future generations will call home. Until now, we've relied on officer reports to bring naming proposals to council. It hasn't been without challenges. We've had names rejected by the registrar, delays and missed opportunities for broader community involvement and expertise. Re-establishing the Place Names Advisory Committee will give us a much stronger, more consistent and more thoughtful process. It allows us to draw on community members who bring cultural knowledge, historical knowledge and a broader lens than what we can achieve through officer reports alone. It also gives us a dedicated forum for investigation, for rigorous assessment and for ensuring compliance with the Geographic Place Names Act and naming rules. That means fewer rejections, fewer reconsiderations and a more efficient, transparent pathway for everyone involved, whether that be developers, officers, councillors or residents. Most importantly, re-establishing the committee puts community back at the centre of the process. Naming places should reflect who we are, where we've come from, and what matters to us. The committee model supports that far better than the ad hoc approach we've been using out of necessity. For these reasons, I support the re-establishment of the Place Names Advisory Committee, and noting the appointment of a councillor chair will come to us later this evening should this motion be successful.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. With all councillors having had an opportunity to speak.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. May I at this point foreshadow an alternative motion should this one fail?
Yes.
I will be foreshadowing an alternative motion to have the opportunity to amend the committee charter with providing the opportunity for the community members to participate on a voluntary basis.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. We'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Goble, Councillor Aldridge. All those against? Councillor Knight, Councillor Mildren, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, which now moves us to the foreshadow motion of Councillor Quilty. Councillor Quilty.
Thank you. Just please bear with my technology. Yep, there we go. So I have foreshadowed the motion. It goes as follows. The council establishes a I really don't know. I didn't come prepared. It's after the arguments presented by Councillor Hall that I made this decision. Council defers the decision on the matter until the charter, Place Names Committee Advisory Charter may be amended to allow for voluntary participation of community members.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Do you have a second for that?
It will be a substantively same motion.
So, Councillor Mildren, the reason I don't think it is because it refers to the advisory committee charter as attached here versus what I understand Councillor Quilty to be proposing as an amendment to that.
Yeah, but haven't we just rejected that?
We have rejected that, but I don't see that as being the same. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I concur with Mayor Bubble because the recommendation, in my view, and I'm open to objections. In my view, the recommendation that stood previously before us said that the council adopts the Place Name Charter as per attachment 3 to this report. And the attachment provides that participants, and I'm quoting from memory, are paid $100 or something for the meetings.
Independent community members.
Independent community members. Independent community members.
Most they could earn would be $600.
So, thank you for raising that, Councillor Mildren. But back to you. Have you finished with that, Councillor Quilty, before we go to a seconder?
Yes, I leave my proposition as is.
Thank you. Seconder for the motion. Councillor Knight. So thank you. So we've got a mover and a seconder. Would you now like to speak to the motion, Councillor Quilty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Knight, for seconding it. I recognize Councillor Aldridge's point made in passing just then that it's not a big expense to the council. Yes, I agree. We have a number of big and small expenses on the budget. They all add up. I believe that due to the number of meetings, as we said, 4 meetings a year, it is not a huge burden on the participants, but an opportunity to serve the community, to volunteer for this community in this role, and to, as Councillor Hall mentioned, back in the days when the participation was voluntary, we even had more independent members. So I don't see it as an impediment for the community members to participate.
Thank you. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to me as the seconder?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Quilty, and the thing to remember is that, you know, it's not just the $100. We're also supplying building. There'll be tea and coffees and along those things that. Now, when council supplies a building, it's not free because the council has it. It's actually an asset that we actually charge out. We've seen that recently in the election campaign for the VEC, saying it would be a lot cheaper if we'd given them a building. But in actual fact, the cost would have been just shifted from the VEC to us. And this is another one of those examples where it looks like a small outlay, but it's actually a lot bigger than what we actually see. So just take that on board when we look at these things.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Other councillors? Councillor Cowan?
Thank you, Mayor Goebel. Look, I would like to say that I think paying for committee members is a small token towards inclusivity. It increases the commitment of the committee members and the accountability to the task at hand, but it also helps provide an opportunity for diverse representation. For people that might have to take some time off work, from people who might have disabilities who need a taxi to get here, for people who need childcare. There are so many good reasons to make a token gesture towards committee representation. And this committee, I think we're in agreement by the very nature of this changed motion that the committee will do some good work for us. So I would be foreshadowing an alternate motion that brings a report back to council on the benefits and disbenefits of paying committee members in respect to this particular issue and the value of that work to council, and if we were to consider it as paid officer work as an alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. So Councillor.
No, I've spoken.
Yeah. So I haven't yet spoken.
It's Cassidy.
And Cassidy, so Councillor Woodbridge.
Yeah.
And with you, I'm getting confused with the previous.
It's okay. Look, my number one concern with this whole debate right now is we're kind of going around in a bit of a circle, and I think there is agreement amongst councillors, and I don't know whether I'm preempting that we do want, the majority do want a place named advisory committee, and we're getting caught up on the technicalities. My theory is we're going to leave here tonight without a recommendation that's going to move that forward, and I don't know what we can do to be able to change things. I don't know whether if it's worth, standing orders so we can talk this and get a recommendation going that we can all agree on, so we can get this moving now, because we're going into December. There's going to be massive amounts of delays going forward, and realistically we should be getting this started sooner rather than later, in my opinion. So if there's anything we can do tonight so that we can all agree and get this moving, I would be very appreciative.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. CEO, make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, I'm hearing there's some questions around remunerating the committee, and that is the issue raised by Councillor Quilty moving this motion. I'd ask the question, well, why don't you just move with the adjustment to the charter to not remunerate or include the remuneration in the schedule of fees, so it's decided every year, and we just get on with the process rather than having a.
I'm happy to amend my recommendation to according to advice.
Would you just like to provide some wording for that, just so we're clear?
Yeah, so in item 1 that we've changed then to the council adopts the Place Names Advisory Committee Charter as per attachment 3 to this report, amended to remove any payment of fees to volunteer members of the committee. Or if you would like, to assign the fees for this committee member at the annual fees and charges process.
I'm happy with option 1, thank you.
Thank you. And the seconder, are you happy with that? Thank you. So we've got a new motion before us.
Same motion.
Yeah. Okay. So as Mayor, I'd just like to also speak to the matter, because interested in hearing your experience, Councillor, about paying versus not paying, and all my experiences with council committees, having been a consultant to a number of councils around Victoria, is councils that don't pay or have a sitting fee tend to have less attendance than more.
It doesn't, I found it did make a huge difference. It depends on the committee members, of course.
And that there's an element, because they're being paid, added element of accountability So it's just a comment that I would like to make before this goes to a vote. Councillor Quilty, would you like any more?
Yes, thank you. Just a little note that at the point just before the committee was previously disbanded was the participation on the committee was paid for, and unfortunately it did not improve the participation.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Quilty. So I'm now going to put the motion to a vote. And so all those in favour? Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor Knight, Councillor Aldridge, all those against? Councillor Meldrum, Councillor Goble, Councillor Cowan, the motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Which now leads us to 10.3, which is the councillor appointments to committees, and quite a few committees there. Councillor Aldridge.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move a motion that this matter is best resolved by suspending standing orders. And to suspend standing orders, we first need a motion on the book. For that purpose, I move that the council confirm its existing appointments to committees. And if that motion is seconded, I will immediately move to suspend standing orders and talk through the appointment to each committee.
Thank you. Do you mind just reading the first motion again? Sorry.
That the council confirm its existing appointment to committees. And if the motion is seconded, I will immediately move to suspend standing orders and through the appointment to each committee.
Thank you. Capture that. You don't. Councillor, seconded by Councillor Knight. Councillor Aldridge. You can propose.
I propose to suspend standing orders and talk through the appointment to each.
All those in favour of suspending standing orders? Thank you. Thank you very much. That is unanimous. Councillor Knight. Oh, was it? Okay, so all those in favour, Councillor Knight, sorry, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Goble, Councillor Quilty, and Councillor Cowan. Those against? Councillor Meldrum, Councillor Hall, that's carried. And now to suspending, so that was on suspending standing orders. So standing orders are suspended. Councillor Meldrum.
Can I have the substantive motion read again, please?
Thank you.
That this matter is best resolved by suspending standing orders. To suspend standing orders, we first need a motion on the book. So for that purpose, I move that the council confirm its existing appointments to committees. And that if that motion is seconded, I will immediately move to suspend standing orders and talk through the appointment to each committee.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to have a confirmation of existing appointments because I don't get any jobs to decisions just don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr Mayor. I voted under the impression that we were voting to suspend standing orders.
Yeah,
If I may retract that.
that's my intention.
I just voted to suspend standing orders, but not to confirm prior appointments to the committee because the council.
The issue is, sorry, councillors, to suspend standing orders, the advice that we've received previously from governors is that we need a motion on the table that has been adopted. So we're seeking a motion to be adopted so we can then go in to facilitate this discussion and appoint councillors to the respective committees that's best seen as being to suspend standing orders.
That was my intention.
Yes, Mr Mayor.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, I'm just going off the.
Mr Mayor, the motion is to confirm appointments.
Yes.
That's the substantive motion.
Yes.
And now we've adjourned or suspended standing orders
Yes.
to consider appointments, which the motion says we've already put in place.
No.
The motion could still.
So I'm going to go to the CEO. That's correct.
Council confirm it exists. So yeah, this is who we- this is who we-
One conversation, please.
Existing
Councillors.
appointments, Mr Mayor. The motion is for existing appointments to be confirmed. And we've suspended standing orders to then pick different positions on the
Yes.
committees.
The motion.
The motion hasn't been passed.
No, that's true, but
Yes.
but suspended
Suspended.
inconsistent with the motion.
CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, there is a motion on the books. And it's been seconded and it's 6. It hasn't been voted on yet. There has been a motion to suspend standing orders. of which has the majority vote. And hence, though, the discussion is now open for around the matter of committees, and we'll progress through that matter when the standing orders is put back in place. Council will then vote on the original motion, and then if it fails, then council can put up a new motion which might originate from the discussion from suspended orders.
Yes.
Happy with that process. So the standing orders is suspended. I'd like to open it up, starting with the first statutory committee being Audit and Risk Committee, and that's been previously, we've had two councillors, Councillor Quilty and Councillor Cowan. Any bids?
Happy to say, unless somebody is happy to, or somebody voices their concern with my work.
I was going to second you.
Don't put your hand up.
No.
So one conversation at a time, please, councillors. Councillor Cowan.
I'm happy to stay true because I think it takes at least a year to understand what's going on and really participate well within the committee. There's no concern at all about your participation in the committee, but I do wonder, how long have you been on the committee and whether it does require fresh eyes, just from that sense of, making sure that we've got, all those different perspectives and skills across the. But I have no concern about your participation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Cowan, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Cowan for her participation. It is hard work. Audit and Risk Committee only meets 4 times a year, but it's a huge agenda and high responsibility. And Councillor Cowan has given it her very best, just like everything else that she does. And I've been on Audit and Risk Committee for 5 years, as long as I've been a councillor in Wodonga City Council. I'm happy to continue. I am happy that with having now 2 councillors, we do have a fresh set of eyes, as long as not so fresh set of eyes. It is my professional interest because my employment coincides slightly with the interest. I don't use it to influence any matters on the council, but that explains my interest. However, should anybody else be interested in taking my place, I'm very happy to give this place for a year or for like however long, because I don't own this job. I'm not married to it.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Any other bids? No?
So
I thought it was a fair question. Moving on to the MAV delegate representative. So typically, CEO, if I could just confirm, it's typically the mayor and deputy mayor. Is that correct? And are we happy going with the same?
It can vary. You can have any councillors there. Typically, that's what's been.
As a board director of MAV, I'd also like to be delegate with councillors' indulgence. Any other bids? For the substitute, sorry.
I know in the past, probably not the recent past, but in time before, that hasn't necessarily had to be the deputy.
No. I think it's very important that we do have a substitute. I know councils where the delegate hasn't been able to go and MAV haven't approved it, given that there hasn't been a resolution of council for a substitute. So we do need a substitute as a safe mechanism.
Yeah.
Any bids?
If it has conventionally been the deputy mayor, are you able to do that?
Yes. Yes.
That's all. Thank you. Under delegated committees, the financial and budget delegated committee. So at the moment, status quo is all councils are members or representatives of that committee. Is that?
Just before you go, I even felt the MAB is a statutory committee. I thought it was something other than statutory.
semantics, but yes.
That's what I thought too.
It's an act of parliament.
The act in relation to MABs.
But that doesn't make the committee.
Does it make any difference to the outcome? We're voting for members to it, so thank you.
Thank you for raising the question, though, Councillor Lobby. We'll be more aware of that in the next year. Delegated committees, finance and budget. Delegated committee, all councils are currently on that. Is there an appetite to continue that? All councils, thank you very much, councillors. Advisory committees to Council Australia Day, we've currently got as chair. Councillor Crawley, who's very passionate about her role as chair, and rightfully so. It's a great committee to be on and a great day. This is for chairing it for committee post Australia Day, just to be clear. So Councillor Crawley will be absolutely chairing the Australia Day event. This being six as the chair, but this is then therefore for 2027. So do we have
I'm very happy to continue.
continue?
Yes.
No competing bids?
No way.
Councillor
Got a chance.
54 and less.
Councillor Crawley, the ERAP committee, currently we've got a situation where all councillors are on that committee. Is there an appetite to continue that arrangement?
It is, yes.
All councillors? The Place Names Advisory Committee, which was just recently adopted subject to amendment to the charter, as one councillor. And I suspect this might be a bit of competition here for this particular committee.
I'd like to nominate myself, as it's something I've been quite vocal about in the past 12 months. So wanting to step up and put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. And I would be honoured if I could chair this on behalf of the council.
You will enjoy it. I enjoy it. So,
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Can I have the bids for that? Noting there's one councillor.
Learn to use Libby for advice.
it's been a while, but
We've got the Wodonga Sustainability Advisory Committee, which was adopted from memory a few months ago. So currently we've got no councillor on it. So do we have a bid for that? Councillor Cowan, thank you very much. Under representative committees, we've got the Alliance of Councils for Wodonga Regional Health Services. Currently we've got the mayor and we've got the deputy mayor. So,
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Is the intent, the way this is written, is it the intent that the CEO be a voting member appointed by the council? Well, in that case, we should remove it from this.
Well pointed out. Thank you. So just for some background, all council members of that alliance, it's a council laws that have a vote, not staff. So CEO?
The terms of reference is under review at the moment. It's probably
Yes, yes.
So once confirmed at the moment, definitely all staff are ex officio on that matter, but it's yet to determine whether the mayor and deputy mayor all both have a vote, or whether there's one vote for council. Is that matter under discussion at the moment?
If that's the case, then we shouldn't be appointing delegates in the manner that we are. We should be waiting to see whether we can have each being representative voters, or just one can and one's a substitute.
Can I ask for that provocation, the rationale behind that, Councillor Milton?
Well, it's giving a false premise if we're adopting two people to be people that can vote on a committee, when in fact the charter of the committee says you can't.
Yeah. So my understanding is the draft terms of reference actually refers to one council, one vote, not one council, but one council.
Yes.
Yeah. So the delegate should be the voting council.
Can I just add that the terms of reference was already adopted by the committee by the Alliance. There is no current change to that. There's a proposition, but those rules are not adopted by that committee as yet.
No, they're not.
The adopted ones are solid voting, so we don't actually know how many councillors can vote.
That's right. So that hasn't been a.
That's my point. Exactly that.
So, Councillor Milton, are you saying that you want this deferred until those terms of reference are adopted formally?
I don't agree.
It's
Splitting hairs here.
So it's a matter of then the committee has one vote, then It's the first voting. Would that be suitable?
I don't think that solves the problem, but
I think the committee's informal. It doesn't have any formal process under the Act. It's not an advisory committee.
spends money.
No, it doesn't.
Or has the money being,
It comes back to council and council makes a resolution on the map. So it doesn't have any authority.
oh, that's very interesting.
So on that basis, can we then land on mayor and other councillor? And can we have a discussion about who that other councillor is, given the existing mayor and previous deputy mayor have been members of that alliance? And for those who may not be aware, I chair that alliance at the moment. And Councillor Cowan has also played a pretty active role in that particular alliance. So I'm opening it up for discussion.
Thanks. I think I would like to continue as the council representative if there was willingness from other councillors, only insofar as that I have long-standing history and knowledge of this issue and wide range of contacts across the network. So I wonder if that is a proposition that councillors might indulge me.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. I'm actually going to move to you, Councillor Hall, given that it's currently deputy mayor and your thoughts on that?
Look, I understand that Councillor Cowan's put a lot of time and energy into that role, and I'm quite happy for her to continue.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. And I just, I think there have been a couple of instances where we've had observer councillors attend those meetings. So that's clearly open to any of our councillors to attend those alliance meetings as observers. Thank you. The Alliance of Councils and Shires of the Upper Murray, one councillor. Any bids for that?
Should be.
Yeah, so I'm happy to do so, Councillor Mildren. I'm also mindful that I'm on quite a few committees and a couple of boards, but do you mind elaborating on that in the context of your previous experience?
If these regional things, we should be represented by the mayor. I think it's the mayor's gig, and the mayor should be doing it.
So you don't think, so previously it's been the deputy, I mean, this last year, so I'm just wondering whether you yourself, Councillor Hall, had any interest in that?
You don't want it?
Well, I'm just offering it as an alternative.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, it hasn't met for a long time. I'm happy to be on it. I'm also just trying to share some leadership amongst us. Yeah, you happy to do that?
Just clarify, is that the councillor or the deputy mayor?
The deputy mayor. Thank you. Goulburn Murray Climate, sorry, I beg your pardon, Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance. Currently, that's Councillor. Any interest in continuing on that, Councillor Cowan, or any other bids?
Yes.
No? Councillor Cowan, Two Cities, One Community Working Group. Last year, we resolved to have all councillors on that, despite the fact it's the mayor and two other councillors. What's the appetite this year?
I would definitely like to be.
I think have it like it has at least two other councils, but all.
I just don't want to force councillors into it if they're not there.
Is there anyone who doesn't want to be on that?
I look at it this way. We're talking about a working group.
Yep.
Are we going to look at this as being something where we want to achieve practical outcomes, or are we going to look at it as we've got to play political games and things?
I'm only interested in practical outcomes.
I think the higher the number, the less the practical outcome will result. So that's the way I see it.
Just in other contexts, all three city councillors are on there.
If you've got it, at least two other councillors, all that's saying is that, it all can come, or
The only the two get to actually.
Can I just also provide another perspective? When we did try and organise a working group earlier this year, and it was compounded slightly by the emergence of the resignation of former Councillor Seymour, that we only had, I think, 2 or 3 councillors that could make it. So I think there is merit in Councillor Mildred's comments. And is there anyone there that would like to select themselves off that? Happy to be offered. Any other councillors?
I'm happy to be offered too. I have.
Councillor Quilty offered.
So what have we got?
So we've got Councillor Aldridge, who's very keen, myself. Councillor Cowan, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Councillor Hall.
Councillor Knight.
Subject to work commitments, yes. I'd like to do that.
And Councillor Knight, subject to work. So that's, you're on it. So we've got Councillor Mildred and Councillor Quilty who elected not to be on that. Is that worth me just yes, please, CEO, thank you. Starting with audit and risk.
So from the discussion, I've taken the audit and risk committee as Councillor Quilty and Councillor Cowan, the MAB as Councillor Goble, Councillor Hall, the Finance and Budget Delegated Committee as all councillors, the Australia Day Committee as Councillor Quilty, the CEO Appointment and Remuneration Committee as all councillors, Place Names Advisory Committee as Councillor Aldridge, the Wodonga Sustainability Advisory Committee as Councillor Cowan, the Alliance of the Councils of the Albury-Wodonga Region Health Services as the Mayor and Councillor Cowan, the Alliance of Councils of the Shire of the Upper Murray as the Deputy Mayor, the Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance as Councillor Cowan, the Two Cities One Community Working Group as Councillors Aldridge, Cowan, Goble, Hall and Knight. And just noting the clarification between councillor and position. So councillor name and councillor and position.
Thank you, CEO. Is there any need for any further discussion before, or perhaps have to reinstate standing orders?
Just before we go back out of standing orders, procedurally, we need a different motion for the one that's before us.
Yes. Do we want to discuss that before going into reinstating standing orders?
I think it's written in the recommendation that the council determine its appointments to the various committees.
Yes.
The condition was that the
CEO.
The councillors who moved it may go out of standing orders, withdraw the motion and allow a new motion to go up, or the councillors who moved and seconded may move it. If it gets lost, you have an opportunity for a second. If it gets carried, then the decision's made.
Yeah. Is that clear? An opportunity for those that moved and seconded to agree to challenge. So I need someone to move reinstatement standing orders. Thank you, Councillor Knight. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Councillor Mildred, Councillor Aldridge, Goble, Councillor Hall, Quilty and Cowan. It's carried unanimously. So we've got a motion that's been moved and seconded, but with an invitation to agree to challenge that.
So is this where we would go to the recommendation that the council determine its appointments for the various committees?
It's subject to your agreement to remove the original
Withdraw or amend.
withdrawal or amend. So you agree?
I will withdraw my original motion, amend my original motion.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight, are you agreeable? Second. Back with you, Councillor Aldridge.
And the new recommendation that the council determine its appointments to the various committees. Do you need me to read out those names again? That's CEO. Great.
Sorry, the motion doesn't deal with what we're trying to achieve, Mr. Mayor.
Motion is the council determine its appointments to the various committees, and as I have read out.
As the CEO has read out.
So you're
So that's-
adding those words to the.
I've just said,
Sorry.
yeah.
So thank you for that, Councillor Aldridge, moving that. We'll have a second by Councillor Knight. Did you want to speak to that at all, Councillor Aldridge?
I don't think we need to.
No. Councillor Knight? No. I'm going to open up to any other councillors. No? If not, we're going to put the motion to councillors. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Courtney, Hall, Aldridge, Mildred and Knight is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, councillors, for your indulgence on that. 10 Councillor Courtney.
Excuse me. Due to my consumption of large amount of liquids to stay hydrated prior to this meeting, may I ask for 5 minutes of adjournment?
All those in favour? We'll indulge you, councillor Courtney.
Recommencing at 8:10.
That's all councillors unanimous. Thank you. Which now leads us to agenda item 10.4, the procurement policy draft for exhibition. The recommendation there for us, or Councillor Knight?
Good evening, while I eat my dinner. I'd like to move an alternative recommendation to the officer. I would like to recommend that the revised procurement policy as attached be adopted and the current policy rescinded.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Is there a seconder for that?
Without going to public exhibition.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Knight.
Yeah, so my reasoning behind this is from June 2024 to June 26, there are projected to be a total of 72 community consultations. This year averages out at 3 community consultations per month. The volume of community consultations has the risk of being an overload on our community, and we need to be more discerning about what the community wants us to engage with them on and invest in these areas that are important in informing council decisions. In my opinion, a procurement policy that meets best practice of state government and MAV does not constitute an area that the community has an interest in engaging or being consulted on.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Cowan.
Look, I will support what Councillor Knight says. I believe that this is a procedural policy, but it gives confidence to our community as well that we've got up-to-date best practice procurement processes. That's essential for protecting our ratepayers and maintaining the trust that we assume. And it's more important than ever. And I think that it's actually been improved, the current policy, to include and embed those child safe standards and principles in our contractor and supplier relationships. Look, we've seen what happens when councils fall behind with their policies relating to procurement. They have audit failures, cost blowouts, integrity investigations, public criticism, and we want our procurement to be transparent and well managed. This final version has been through our lawyers. It has been given the seal of approval from our lawyers, and it does relate to the best practice procurement guidelines of the Victorian law. So I think we've covered off, and I agree, Councillor Knight, that the value of community having an oversight of this is perhaps more burdensome than productive.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Other councillors?
Move that the motion be put, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Mildred. Absolutely. On that procedural motion, all those in favour? That's carried. So now that the motion be put, yes, that was unanimous. Sorry. Do you want me to read over that? No. Now putting the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillors Knight, Mildred, and Sylvie, Hall, Quinty, and Councillor Cowan. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. 10.5 is the privacy policy draft for exhibition. Now there is a recommendation for us to remove for that.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Knight moving as recommended. Do I have a seconder?
Oh, trying to find where I'm at. I'll second it.
Councillor Hall, Councillor Knight, I'm going to move to you.
This one is probably a little bit different. This is the privacy policy, and I think that is something that the community does need to see. It does tell them all about their rights and our rights. That privacy stuff. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Hall is the second.
I'll reserve my right.
Reserve your rights. Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak to it? Councillor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I think there's a flaw in the policy. There's times where council must decide and determine people that may be affected by a council decision. and there is a statutory requirement to specifically consider their views. If they choose to not allow disclosure, then council will be unable to meet its statutory obligations. And our policy as it's written actually is in conflict with that as a principle. It's particularly related to planning matters, but not only to planning matters, where the council is proposing to do something, certain things, they're specified through the legislation, where the views of a particular person must be obtained if the council forms the view that a particular person will be affected by the actions that the council is proposing, then it's specific. Like you must know who the person is to be able to satisfy your statutory obligation. And to my observations, that's for in our policy.
Thank you, Councillor Melbourne. I'm going to go to the CEO to seek his feedback on the publication from Councillor Melbourne.
To the director.
Thank you, Mrs. Video. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the policy allows for the use of personal health information within council to disclose it for a secondary purpose, if it is required by law to do so. So that is included in our policy. We have provided some examples, and one of those examples includes the Planning and Environment Act.
Councillor Melbourne, did you want?
The bit I'm trying to get to is not to get out clauses. It's the fact that the policy allows the respondent to not have it disclosed, or to say that they do not wish to have their name disclosed. And therein lies the problem.
So I think so. You're advocating for a clause to the policy that provides an obligation on the person to actually disclose who they are in the event that a decision is made by council that may impact.
Yes.
Understood. Other councillors?
It's a question, please, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm struggling to find where the reference is that Councillor Meldrum is referring to. Wondering if you could point me to that reference, please.
It's in numerous different places through the planning processes.
If you could point me to the reference in
I can't think of
the
off the top
privacy
of my head.
policy.
In the policy,
Yes.
the policy says somewhere that a respondent can opt not to have their.
That's what I'm asking, if you would mind pointing to.
I can't remember where it is exactly, but it's definitely in the document.
Is there anyone else who can point to it? Officer Velko. Okay. Are you aware of where that is in the policy that Councillor Meldrum is referring to specifically?
Where the respondent can actually opt out from having their name.
Yeah, so you're probably referring to 4.2.1, which is the use and disclosure of personal information for community consultation. So personal information collected during community consultation activities, such as names, contact details, or feedback, may be used to inform council decision making. When providing that community feedback, the persons will be asked if they consent to the sharing of their personal information. This ensures that we cover those privacy requirements. If they choose not to share their personal information, their feedback will be treated as a general submission rather than as a formal submission. So that's both the name will be redacted in that situation.
And that is a standard community feedback response, is it not?
Yes.
Can I ask Officer Velko regarding being redacted as an opportunity to then look behind redaction to contact responder? For the purposes of being able to circle back as a result of a council decision that may impact them?
Council still retains the data, just as we're not disclosing.
Yeah. So CEO?
What's the question?
The question is, just as I understand it, Councillor Mildren has identified an issue, a potential flaw in policy. It doesn't, or potentially prohibits council from responding back as a result of a decision that's made, where it's obligated to do so under legislation to the person who may have made a submission or otherwise, but may be in fact unable to do that if for whatever reason the contact details of that individual have been taken away from the line of sight of council officers or council.
So when we talk about the community consultation,
Yeah.
so the team that do the community consultation will still have access, the marketing and communications team
Yes.
will still have access to those details. If there is a requirement to go back to those submitters, then they will have that information. We don't remove it altogether from council, but we don't share it further than that team. So we
Thank
don't share it within our organisation or further outside of that.
So Councillor Mildren, are you satisfied that that enables council to close the loop on the statutory obligation?
No, because one, the council must specifically identify the individual that it needs to target as a consequence of the planning requirement. It must make a positive decision that a certain person or persons will be affected, and those persons then must be asked their opinion, and their opinions must explicitly be considered in the decision-making process. So at each point through that process, we the decision makers, whether it be the councillors around the table or whether it be the relevant officers with delegation, have to know who that person is.
Wouldn't that meet the secondary purpose though? It is required by law to do so, so we're given that information. Like if you had a specific person at a specific house for a planning permit, I'm using that because I'm not a planner, and we knew that they lived at 22 place or whatever, you're going to know that person. You're going to send that information to that person. You're going to use the register, the roll, whatever council's rates, notices, whatever we have, or someone will knock on their door, get their details. Wouldn't that then come back?
If they explicitly
Can I just call on the CEO to respond to some of these questions, and then I'll go to Councillor Cowan. CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, we've spent extensive time working through this, trying to get through some of the nuances. It is very technical. There's lots of pieces of legislation that provide some detail where matters have to be dealt with differently. My suggestion is, given what's been moved, that it goes out for public exhibition, that we could proceed on that path. Councillor Mildren may be able to articulate the detail on the policy that is of concern, and we can seek some legal advice around that matter during the consultation period and provide that back to council.
Councillor Cowan, then Councillor Hall.
Thank you. I would like to support putting the motion to the council, and I would also like to draw the attention of the councillors to page 3 and 7 of the updated final version, and that is where it provides examples where the information may be disclosed. And I think that covers off on the concerns that Councillor Mildren is postulating, but I'm not been able to actually identify where those concerns are within the policy that he has raised. But nonetheless, I think those concerns are very much covered in that section where the examples are provided, and in particular under the Planning and Environment Act 1987, disclosure of the personal details of an objector to a planning permit is allowed during the inspection period. There's different examples there, and I think you'd be confident, Councillor Mildren, that those disclosure requirements are being met with this policy.
Thank you. Any other councillor comments before I make a comment and go back to Councillor Knight? Yeah.
No, well,
Councillor Hall.
Okay, after all this discussion, I am with the resolve that the CEO's made the right call, and Councillor Mildren can provide that detail and submit it, and we can review it when it comes back up.
Yeah, thank you. Given that, if no other council comments, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Mildren, Aldridge, Gogel, Hall, Quilty, Cowan. Carried unanimously. Thank you. 10.6 is the community funding request policy and program review. There's a recommendation there before us. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cowan, seconder. Seconder, as recommended. Sorry. Oh, sorry. 10.6.
171.
171.
Yeah. I'm happy to see him.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. I was pleased to initiate the review of the community funding program in an earlier council meeting. Our process is needed to be simpler, clearer and more consistent for our community. And we identified some key issues, that there was previously no defined funding pool. There were inconsistent categories and limits. There were long timelines tied to the budget cycle, and there was an unclear assessment criteria and confusion around one-off operational and multi-year sponsorship requests. The revised program directly addresses these issues. We now have one streamlined policy across these 3 grant streams, a set annual funding pool, which is to be determined, clear caps, a faster application process decoupled from the budget, and transparent, very clear criteria. Requests are clearly defined as one-off and non-operational, with longer-term support being handled through our budget submission process. I believe these changes really strengthen the fairness and reduce confusion for community groups and ensure funding decisions are timely and consistent. This is really good governance, and it gives our community groups a more reliable and accessible process. I commend the program, and I thank the officers for their considered work.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Knight. Reserved. Any other councillors? No? Then I'm going to go back to you. No? Councillor Cowan? No? Okay, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Gogel, Councillor Cowan. All those against? Councillor Milton, Councillor Hall, Councillor Quilty. The motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 10.7 is the Wattle Glen Estate, Stage 4, Baranduda Boulevard, Leneva. There's a recommendation there before us. We have a mover for that. Councillor Aldridge, and a seconder. Councillor Knight, I believe.
Yeah.
Councillor Aldridge, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So as per the recommendation, I won't be supporting the recommendation tonight, but I do have some concerns. The application proposes a 66 lot residential subdivision within the 250 to 500 metre buffer of the former Wodonga landfill. This is now the 3rd occasion in the past 18 months where council has been required to make a decision about development within this buffer zone. As I've stated previously, at what point do we draw the line? How often are we going to find ourselves in the same position here? I'm not a geological waste management environmental scientist person, so I'm relying entirely on the technical advice, the environmental audit and the officer report. And that advice is telling us that the site is classified as characteristic situation 1, presenting a very low risk, and that no further mitigation measures are required. It also tells us that the proposal complies with the Wodonga planning scheme and previously endorsed development plans. So that gives me a level of comfort, but it doesn't remove the concern altogether. How do we ensure we're not gradually eroding a buffer that existed for a reason, even if the guidelines allow development when risks are assessed as low? And I think we need to ensure that each decision is not just technically compliant, but also part of a bigger consistent approach that considers both the safety and confidence of our community.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight,
Reserve.
reserve. Any other councillors like to speak to? Councillor Cowan and then Councillor.
Thank you. Yes, look, approving a residential development in a buffer zone really requires careful attention to policy, amenity and long-term land use consequences. As a councillor, we must ensure our decisions are based on sound planning evidence, avoid creating complaints in the future, and uppermost, we must protect community health and safety. Our buffer zones exist for a reason, and once they are eroded, they can't be easily reinstated. And by nature, I am typically risk averse and quite conservative in these matters. However, we have been provided with an overwhelming amount of information, mostly technical and very detailed. I accept that the assessment is evidence-based and my decision to support this is heavily influenced by the officer's recommendations. I do say to the prospective purchasers, when you buy land in this zone, the information in this agenda is publicly available to you, and I commend you to read it.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillors? Councillor Hall.
Yeah, it was a decision of the last council to bring back any decision around this as it came up. And I think rightly so. I think we want to be risk aversion. You know, we want to be doing the right thing. And as Councillor Outridge said, is that there's a lot of information here that we rely on to be able to make this assessment. So I think in having said that, it says it's a very low risk. And I think there's nothing else really that we can go by but the information that's provided in front of us. So I think, I think it's a decision that we have to make, and it's always, of concern when there are, when it's within a landfill buffer zone. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors? Councillor Mildred.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have to look at this in the context of which the buffer exists. My understanding is I don't think it's part of the planning scheme. I think it's an EPA buffer, if my memory serves me correct. It may have been put into the planning scheme at some time later, but my understanding is the purpose of the buffer was designed to establish an area within which gas testing had to be undertaken. So it could determine what the risks are and where the gas escape may or may not be. So in that context, it's serving its purpose. And the purpose of the buffer is to have that testing done prior to the approval of any application. Now, as with Councillor Cowan, Councillor Aldridge's comments, that's been done. And our officers have put up a report that gives that evidence and gives that information. So when you look at it in context, it's not as if it is a planning buffer in the sense of local amenity. It's from my understanding, science-based buffer that's used to determine what extent gas escape may or may not be happening as distinct from could happen.
Thank you, Councillor Mildred. Any other councillors? Councillor Courtney.
Yeah, thank you. I will not say anything new. I will just reiterate comments made that this buffer is established for the purposes of further testing and making decisions and looking back every time there is an application or an intent to develop in an area. And I think Councillor Cowan has made a very important point, calling on the prospective buyers in the area to do their due diligence and look into the council reports and determine whether they are happy to accept the whatever small risk or would consider the risk being too high for them, seek advice. and the report, which is highly technical and above my level of expertise in this area, convinces me that the risk is negligible and very low. If it is not, and diligent buyers choose not to buy in the area, then developer carries the risk of losing out possible gains. So yeah, I'll support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. I'm going back to you, Councillor Knight, who reserved your right to reply.
I'll just read, in 2010, the Environment Protection Authority introduced the state guidelines establishing a 500-metre buffer zone around closed landfills. The Environment Protection Authority Victoria's Landfill Buffer Guideline, publication 1954, provides the current framework for planning near both operating and closed landfills, recognising potential risks such as landfill gas, migration and other amenity impacts. The 500-metre buffer distance functions as a risk buffer that triggers consideration of potential impacts. It does not itself prohibit development where risks can be appropriately managed, and that's all in the attachments. So I'm pretty confident, and we've done this before, so happy.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. I'm going to Councillor Aldridge as the mover.
Nothing further to add, Mr Mayor.
Then I'll put the motion to councillors. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Eldrin, Councillor Aldridge, Global, Hall, Courtney and Cowan. That is unanimous. It's carried. Thank you. Now leads us to 10.8, the Wodonga Heritage Implementation Study. There is a recommendation. Sorry, I didn't see whose hand up was first, but I thought it was Councillor Cowan's. I'm going to go with that.
Was Councillor Milton had his hand up quite a
Okay.
while.
I always respect whose hands up first. Councillor Mildred.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that we defer this matter to a workshop to consider every item that's listed and to review and understand what the context and consequences are.
Okay, so we've got a, why don't you just use those words again so the CEO can capture them? And that everyone can. So we've got a mover. Do we have a seconder for that?
I have got a similar motion that I've prepared here that may feel the need as
Sorry.
Councillor Milton's agreed for you to read it.
Is that okay to read that? Okay, that council defer consideration of item 10.8, Wodonga Heritage Implementation Study to a future meeting. 2, undertake further communication with affected property owners to clarify the study's intent, implications and amendments made in response to the submissions. And 3, receive a further report detailing this additional engagement and any resulting updates to the study.
Councillor Milton.
If we could add to review each individual listing, then I'd be happy to let that replace.
So we could say undertake further communication with affected properties as identified in the current engagement.
So we've got to move it. Councillor Cowan, Councillor Milton, are prepared to second that motion. Councillor Cowan, I'm going to go to you to speak to it, and when you're ready.
Thank you. Heritage studies are an important part of responsible planning. They help us understand what is significant in our city and give us evidence to guide growth in a respectful, informed way, cognizant of our history. But as we consider this study tonight, we must also consider the strength and sincerity of the feedback we received. 19 formal submissions were lodged. While some supported the work, many came from property owners with genuine concerns about financial impacts, future development options, the age or condition of the buildings, and whether some places truly meet the heritage threshold. Others simply wanted clarity about what a heritage overlay actually means. These concerns are real. Owning a heritage asset can be a privilege, but it can also feel quite daunting in this setting. People deserve clear information and reassurance that council understands the practical implications for them. Our officers and consultants responded thoughtfully. 14 citations were amended and 2 properties were removed based on the community feedback, and that's a positive outcome. But the volume and nature of the concerns also tells us something important, and that is that there's still uncertainty, and in some cases there's clear misunderstanding about what an overlay does or does not require. And many of the issues raised, such as zoning and maintenance obligation or development restrictions, sit outside the scope of the study, and we need to communicate that better. Importantly, Council has a responsibility to fully understand the submissions and the outcomes for those who took the time to engage with us. Before adopting a study of this significance, we should be confident that we understand the technical responses and the real-world impacts on the people affected. And for these reasons, I believe that a short deferral even is a responsible path, not to undermine the study, but to strengthen it. A brief pause might allow us to have clearer communication with property owners, ensure councillors fully understand the concerns raised, and build trust in the process moving forward. I think taking a little bit of time now may lead to better outcomes for everyone, and therefore I move that we defer this consideration to allow for that further fuller understanding of the submissions and their implications.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Mildred, reserve. Other councillors? Pardon. Councillor Aldridge.
I just want to start by acknowledging the importance of heritage in our city. Protecting places of genuine local significance matters. These places help tell the story of Wodonga, and strong heritage protections can contribute to community identity, economic benefit, and a sense of continuity. However, while I recognise the intent, I also need to be honest about the concerns I have after reading the community feedback. We received a substantial number of objections, many from residents who were directly affected. And while I appreciate that every submission was logged and responded to through the engagement snapshot and summary, the responses felt at times quite procedural and quite cold. Residents raised real worries about property value, development restrictions, emotional impact, and whether their properties genuinely meet the threshold for heritage value. I'm not entirely convinced the process allowed them a meaningful opportunity to respond after those initial answers were provided. I also think it's fair to say that many residents still don't fully understand what a heritage overlay does or doesn't do. And while it's being explained in the documentation, this information didn't always translate into reassurance. I would prefer to see a more supportive, more conversational approach to these concerns rather than what at times felt like technical justifications. I believe we need to ensure that residents understand the process and have confidence that their concerns are properly considered.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Other councillors?
Nothing to add.
Okay, what's been said. If there's nothing else to be said, I'm going to go to Councillor Morgan for right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too agree that heritage is an important component of everything that we do in our community. Its connections with the past that can be hooked into ceremony, it can be connected to a whole range of different things. But equally, there are many components of the technical heritage industry, if I can call it that, that has probably gone a bit too far and lost its way in some ways. We have a tendency with some heritage people, heritage advisors, to look at a vacant piece of land that might have been a homestead 100 years ago, and there's a gatepost left and nothing else, and they will try and place a heritage listing over that piece of land. There is no value to the community in having that. Sure, you can have a plaque on the front fence or in the road out the front saying this used to be where something sat, but to place a heritage overlay over that sort of thing is counterproductive. Equally, if you've got industrial land, and I understand there's a couple of references to industrial land in this process, where to continue with the heritage overlay when we've gone so far down the path of having that land changed from its original purposes and use, and indeed more often than not the properties have become into disrepair and are almost never going to be reinstated. So the heritage value gets lost or has been lost already. So to try and put those sort of places into a heritage overlay under the planning system and create more layers of bureaucratic process, it's just counterproductive. And as Councillor Cowan said, we need to keep the integrity for those places that are important. And we need to have that set up with respect and community support so that the places that are important do get looked after, and the ones that are not so important, well, we can let go the other way. So I think going back to having some level of review and workshop of this is the only way we can give it justice and come out the other end with a productive and sustainable result. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Meldrum. Going to go to Councillor Cowan for her right of reply, sorry. Would you like to? It sounds like you do.
Yes, I would. I just think it's important that before the mover responds, that I just highlight the concern here that this has been extensive work over many years, and it's been a large component of council's budget. Is also a very one small part in a very large lot of different reviews that we were doing at the moment. It takes a fair bit of staff resources. I hear what the councillors are saying in regards to engagement of the community understanding, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily, I'm not going against that necessarily, but I'm just saying to resource this going forward, to do this review, get back, get out to community and come back. It is going to take some resources, and that will either be within our existing budget and slow down other planning matters and reviews and housing matters, etc., or it will require an additional budget to go through that process. So I understand your concern, and I'm not necessarily saying we shouldn't go through that process. I'm just highlighting it will be a resource intensive process, because we have had consultants doing this work, and it is difficult to get staff in this planning type area, and we certainly don't have the and not speaking against any staff, we don't have the very specialist knowledge in this. So this will be staff involved, but consultant driven, and that comes at that cost. So just before it gets wrapped up, I just wanted to highlight that concern.
Well, thank you for providing that additional context, CEO. And I'm now going to move to Councillor Cowan for her right of reply. Is the move?
Oh, thank you. And I think that that's important context to add to the consideration that there has been considerable resources already put to this heritage study. And I think in it, that actually goes to supporting the proposition that we do take a short deferral in this responsible way. Not to undermine this study, I'm not even questioning the integrity of the study, and I do wish to correct your assertion that I was, Councillor Meldrum, but I really believe that the opportunity exists.
Sorry, I didn't hear Councillor Cowan's comment, actually, sorry.
You made the comment that I agree with Councillor Cowan that we need to build the integrity of this study, and I actually didn't say that. So I'm just correcting that for the record, just to be clear, but I actually don't think that this study suffers in integrity. I think it's the way in which we have managed the submissions, and that's my major concern. I think the brief pause now will give opportunity for clearer communication with the property owners, ensure that the councillors fully understand what the concerns are, how they've been managed, and what the resolution is moving forward. If we take a little bit more time now, I think the benefits will be there for all of us in recognising the work that's already gone before.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. I'm going to put the motion to councillors. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Meldrum, Aldridge, Grove, Wolfhall, Quilty, Cowan, unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Cowan and Councillor Meldrum. Agenda item 10.9 is Baranduda Boulevard, proposed speed zone changes. There is a recommendation before us, and also, as per the CEO's comment at the beginning of the meeting, alternate recommendations also been provided on a white sheet for those who read that. I think to bridle Councillor Knight's enthusiasm for what I suspect might be the alternative recommendation too. Councillor Knight.
Yes, mine is the white paper alternative recommendation too. It's, I will read it out anyway. It's, that the council notes with appreciation the community feedback and outcomes of the public exhibition for the proposed speed limit changes on Baranduda Boulevard. 2, supports and approves the reduction of the speed limit on Baranduda Boulevard from Beechworth Road roundabout to the current commencement of the 60km/h zone in Baranduda to 80 kilometres an hour. Supports and approves the variable speed limit reduction of the speed on Baranduda Boulevard from the Beechworth Wodonga Road roundabout to a point no more than 1,000 metres east to 60 kilometres an hour during standard school times only. 4, support and authorise officers to formally request the Department of Transport and Planning to consider a corresponding reduction from 100 kilometres an hour to 80 kilometres on the adjoining Beechworth Wodonga Road west of the roundabout to approximately Cardiff Drive, the arterial road under DTP jurisdiction. And 5, notes that the officers will consider any targeted short-term measures, example, temporary active school zone arrangements or additional signage line marking pending the opening of the new primary school and in consultation with Victoria Police and DTP.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second for the purposes of debate.
Councillor Corsi as the seconder. Councillor Knight, I'm going to move back to you as the mover.
Yeah, so this one's like there was a huge amount of consultation or community feedback along this stuff. A lot of people wanted to keep the Baranduda Boulevard as a 100-kilometre zone. There was a lot of, if you can't drive at 100 k's an hour, you shouldn't have a licence sort of scenarios. There was a lot more people that were happier to drop down to 60 kilometres an hour. There was a lot of people, I should say, not a lot more, 60 kilometres an hour, which I believe is too slow. But the 80 kilometre hour speed, I actually tested this myself coming home from work over 2 nights, and it's the difference is 26 seconds in total for the trip at 80 kilometres an hour as opposed to 100 kilometres an hour. And that wasn't taking into account school times or traffic. I did do it late at night, but there were deer and kangaroos, so it sort of counts. And the reason the 1,000 metres east of the roundabout is to cover the slowdown more coming from Baranduda towards the new school area. Even though it's not the school directly, the merging lanes are not really up to what they should be done for this sort of area. And I believe that this is the safest thing we can do until the actual roadway is done to a better standard. And it's a short-term fix, realistically, but we've also got a lot more to go. Yeah, and then obviously the school times. I did look at various distances. I looked at 600 metres and 800 metres. And the difference, as I said, it's just bringing us that little bit closer when we're coming from Baranduda at 100 kilometres an hour or 80 kilometres an hour. And the reason I looked at the current 60km/h zone in Baranduda is actually to capture Baranduda Fields, which is currently in a 100km/h zone. So parents with kids are trying to turn into Baranduda as cars are accelerating to 100 km/h or preparing or still going at 100 km/h coming into Baranduda as well. So I think that moving to an 80km/h speed limit is the middle ground for most people. And I think this would be the most benefit to everybody and the safest outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Corsi, reserved. Any other councillors?
Is this the,
So that's the Baranduda Beechworth Road roundabout. So that's the new school that you can see just down in the middle of the page there, near Balcombe Avenue.
and that's marked on the map, how you would.
Yeah, so there's our roundabout, and the 1,000 metres is our red line.
Yeah.
It comes out to about there, which gives us an equal distance either way. And by reducing this speed to 80 kilometres into here as well, It's just going to free it up a little bit to make it a bit smoother transition. Once again, that part of the road, you know, people will have different opinions of it, but I've seen the most kangaroo strikes is actually right on that where it says Beechworth, Wodonga. The word road is, you know, I'm pretty sure there's more kangaroos killed there than just about anywhere else. They seem to come through there quite a lot, but you know, yeah. So this is the Beechworth Wodonga Road end. The other end is Athletic Avenue, where Baranduda Fields turns into, basically, and it's about 100 metres further on from that, where it's 60 k's. And also, you're not going from 100 k's down to 60 k's either at that end, which is a 20k drop rather than 40.
And there's no talk of, there's nothing from the Yarralumla to.
Oh, yeah, this is down back going from Yakandanda to Beechworth. This road down your bottom here. So this one here.
No,
back
going
to
to
Wodonga.
Yarralumla.
Oh, going back, yeah. So there'll be an 80k. This will be changed from 100. So it changes from Streets Road roundabout around Yarralumla, sort of that area there. It goes to 80 k's, and then I'm trying to think Cardiff. I think it's Cardiff Drive. Pretty much where the old tip used to turn into. That's where it turns into a 100-kilometre-hour zone. So it's probably about 400 metres of roadway. And it's mainly bush verge and a couple of houses at the moment.
So your proposal is to drop that back to 80?
Yeah, that's the one that'll be 80, but we would ask the, I think that's the Department of Transport and Planning to consider dropping it back to 80. So we'd be asking them. It's not a foregone conclusion.
Councillor Hall, any other questions?
No, let's clarify, please.
Councillor Cowan?
I just have a question, and it may be through you, Mayor, to one of the officers perhaps, but in the report, the road is described as a key collector road. And I looked up the terminology of that. What does that mean, collector road, you know? But then I looked up what do school zones mean? What do they mean to different school zones? And look, if during school times, 60 kilometres an hour is the minimum speed or the maximum speed, I beg your pardon, on rural roads with no school or pedestrian crossing, where the original speed is 80 kilometres or higher. So I wonder if you might just comment on how you've addressed the school zone treatment in this area.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, a school zone report will come to the councillors at the December council meeting, and it deals with Jennings Road specifically, and the schools that and the roads that have direct access to the school, where the school gates are, and where active transport is likely to occur. That report is coming to council in December council meeting.
I just a further point of clarification. Will there be a school crossing on Baranduda Boulevard?
It's unlikely to be a school crossing at Baranduda Boulevard at this stage. There will be on Jennings. This intersection with Jennings is slated to have a signalised intersection. So once council has determined what the speed zone is to be in that section, then the detailed design can be concluded for the signalised intersection at Jennings.
Councillor Cowan?
And the time frame for that signalised.
It is at this stage, we are in discussions with the developer of the Leneva Valley Estate. He has indicated it will be done under a works in kind agreement. It is a DCP item, a development contribution plan item. We are in discussions with the developer at this moment. Once we have the speed zone settled, the design work can be undertaken and cost estimates can be done by us.
What's the time frame of that likely be?
I'm not going to commit myself at this stage, Mr. Mayor, but we are certainly in active discussions with the developer. He is motivated to undertake that works.
Thank you, Officer Schultz. Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other comments or questions from councillors? Councillor Aldridge?
Yeah, just a comment. I think this is a really tough one for councillors because we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't in this situation. You know, there is going to be a portion of the community that are absolutely opposed to us dropping the speed zone to under 100. Ultimately, there are going to be a lot of people that would be angry with us for not dropping it to 60. At the end of the day, I won't apologise for making a decision in the interest of safety. Our children should come first. 26 seconds of your life versus an entire life of someone should they be hit by a car. Or, you know, the secondary, you know, benefit of this situation is it's no secret there's so many kangaroos and deer on that road. Dropping it to 80, you know, might help someone avoid having a terrible accident as well. So just a comment that recognising that this is a very tough decision to make for councillors, it is one of those decisions that's very dividing for our community.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan.
I'll speak to the motion. Thank you. I won't be supporting the motion. I want to be absolutely clear when it comes to road safety. I'll not apologise for putting the well-being of our community first. We had before us a recommendation that moves Baranduda Boulevard from 100 km/h rural road, something and really we should be considering what it really is, a rapidly growing urban corridor now home to families, young children and soon to be a brand new primary school. This is no longer a high-speed through route, it's a front door to a growing community. And we received a petition signed by 315 residents calling for a permanent reduction to 60 km/h. And this is not a small number of residents. This is not a fringe sentiment. That's the community standing up and saying we need this road to be safer. And I want to thank every one of those residents for making their voices heard. And the evidence that is out there is that it's clear. Lower speed saves lives. Lower speed reduces the severity of crashes. Lower speed protects children, pedestrians, cyclists and families. So I don't believe that we're doing enough. And I don't think that this will be the end of the conversation, even if this motion gets up today. As Baranduda continues to grow, as the school opens and the traffic volumes shift, we have a responsibility to listen to our community. And 315 residents told us they wanted a permanent reduction to 60 km/h.
Councillor Cowan, in the event that this were to fail, this motion, were you prepared to foreshadow an alternative? Or
I would shadow an alternative to consider the petition and accept the recommendation of 60 km/h in those areas described.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other? Councillor Melbourne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's absolutely correct that speed is a risk. But how far do we go? There was a period of time 130 years ago where the speed limit was walking speed and you had to have somebody walk in front of your vehicle with a red flag. I mean, that was safe. And I think we have to look at the context of every single situation in terms of traffic management and transport planning. The school is not abutting and facing onto Baranduda Boulevard. The impact on Baranduda Boulevard is vehicles turning off the road. Sure, they might be turning off to access the school, that's possible, but it's not in relation to actual school kids in the first instance. Now, there is likely to be school kids in time that will walk from, say, Kinchington or Streets Road area on the other side across to the school. And we've already heard Officer Schultz tell us that they're going to put traffic signals in which will accommodate that. Now, traffic signals in other places operate at a range of different speeds and a range of different things, depending on the design for the actual roadway that we're dealing with. Now, when the Wodonga Development Corporation planned Baranduda Boulevard, it was intended to be a major thoroughfare dual carriageways in each direction. So, I mean, perhaps we've now written off those strategic plans because we see them as, you know, not good amenity or not good cost-wise or whatever it might be. I think we need to look at this in the context. The majority of people that responded to this have said that they want to retain the 100 kilometres. I hear what Councillor Knight has said, that it's 26 seconds difference. I think that was from the roundabout.
Yeah, from the roundabout to the
So,
50,000.
you know, if you go back down the other way, it's probably like 10 seconds more, which is immaterial. I think we need to be looking at this strategically. I think the intersection treatment that we end up doing is critical, and I've heard Officer Schmidt say that that is in train. Perhaps we should have been a bit quicker at getting it done, and maybe there's reasons why it didn't happen earlier. But I think the intersection has to be designed for the purpose that we find ourselves in. So I'm torn with this because I realise there's technical and strategic transport planning issues that we should be considering, and there's the emotional stuff that we hear from people in petitions and by other means. And then there's just the views of some people who say, well, they want to keep the 100 Ks. Where we drop on this, to some extent, I'm hearing the middle ground is a compromise that we should accept. My instincts tell me that we aren't ready to go wholly back to 80 Ks. 80 Ks, if we use the logic that's been said tonight, 80 Ks will take all of our country roads back to 80 Ks. I still don't know which way I'm going to vote. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mildred. It's been brought to my attention. We've just hit our time on that. So I'm going to need a motion to extend the meeting by another 30 minutes, given we're now at 9:05. Thank you, Councillor Hall. Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? Councillors Cowan, Corsey, Hall, Goble, Aldridge, Mildred, Knight, carried unanimously. So that takes us to 9:35. The possibility of one more extension. Thank you, Councillor Mildred, for your comments there on the motion. Any other councillors? Councillor Hall?
Yeah, look, we've had road, there's not quite like this, but we've had these come up before, and the quick reaction is always to reduce to, you know, because of public sentiment of some parts in the community. I'm not convinced. There was 121 people in the submissions or survey that didn't support any changes. However, I do accept that, you know, during school drop-offs and, you know, opening and closing hours, there could be more traffic in that area due to the new school opening. So I'm with the view that I would continue to keep it at 100 Ks, but during certain hours reduce the speed limit to a more acceptable to support the increased traffic with the school. So I don't think I'll be supporting, although I appreciate Josh's input that he's put forward. I'm still with the view that I'm not to jump on just reducing our speed limits for the few that make the largest noise, because we've done that in a few places, and I still believe that probably it shouldn't have been done. But yeah, what we want.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Before we go to Councillor Cooley, I would like to reply. I note there's quite a spectrum of different views here, and I think Councillor Wright's a fair bit of work here to find some middle ground, given the community feedback, etc. Councillor Cooley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Knight, for your detailed explanation of what you would like to achieve, and for all the extra work you have done, given it's your ward, and you have obviously practiced reducing speed and timing yourself. Yes, that's excellent practical input. Look, when we were trying to discuss the reduction of speed limits during the petition moment, I quite liked Councillor Hall's proposition to reduce to 60. Was it to 60? I don't remember, to 60 during school hours for quite a substantial length of the road. I don't know whether Councillor Hall was intending to foreshadow a different motion or not, but the kangaroos is an issue, but there are issues everywhere on highways where the speed limit is 110. So I don't know whether going to 80 will save any kangaroos or people's cars, or whether it's a issue to consider here. A valid point for me is turning off to Baranduda Fields. It is hard to turn from 100 kilometers, turn from 100 kilometers. I have a bit of experience doing that when visiting my in-laws in Adelong. There is a turn from Snow Mountains, which is a very hilly road and has 100 degrees onto the little road. So it's it doesn't appear to be an unsafe move. The width of the road I'm turning in allows for safety. So I'm look, I do take your points on board, and I'm like on the verge of supporting your proposition with 80, but probably slightly more inclination to reducing it to longer, like a kilometre to 60 during school times.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. I'm going back to you, Councillor Knight, as Leneva.
Thank you very much. And I take it all on board. And as everything else, it is a suggestion. I agree. The 60k zone for school times is a no-brainer. But if you're doing 100 kilometres an hour and all of a sudden you don't notice those flashing lights, and the next thing you know, you're right up the back of the car that's turning across the road in front of you, full of kids taking them into the school area, which is what we have because it's one entrance, one exit. That's the only entrance and exit. We haven't built the other ones yet. That's my fear. That 100 kilometres an hour to 60 kilometres an hour, 40 kilometre drop, it is quite a substantial amount, and it is only one moment of inattention, and that's what can happen. And it can still happen at 80 kilometres an hour, but we're reducing that risk by that amount, and it's not even a constant. It's not even there's a bigger difference between 100 and 80. It's not in the same sort of scale. So, as we reduce each time, and that is my big point with the 80 kilometres, because I don't think you lose as much over that 80 kilometre range over that period of, I think it's about 3.5 to 4 kilometres, as opposed to what the consequences would be of hitting somebody else that's nearly at standstill, basically at 100 kilometres an hour. And that's, I think, what the community sentiment has been. And I'm not saying this is the end fix. I'm saying this is the only fix, or not the only fix, but this is the fix I can see in a short term that we can implement as a council now, today, start it all off and running, rather than talk about it again for another 12 months or until a kid gets killed or a family gets hit in a car. And that's my fear. So, it's on you. Everybody here votes how they think, and I'm not saying anyone doesn't regard safety. It's my view. It's only my view. But yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. If there's nothing else, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those councillors in favour of the motion: Councillor Knight, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Goble, Councillor Powell, and Councillor Conti. All those against: Councillor Meldrew, Councillor Hall. The motion is carried. Congratulations, Councillor Knight and Councillor Conti.
Nothing to congratulate me on.
At least encouraging debate. We're now up to agenda item 10.10, the proposed road names Wattle Rise Estate. The recommendation there before us, Councillor Aldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the recommendation that council endorse the following proposed names for the new residential subdivision at Wattle Rise Estate, Avenue Lovett Sheridan, and this resolution be forwarded to the Register of Geographic Names for approval and to undertake the gazettal procedure.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Do you want to speak? No, sorry, Councillor Aldridge, as the mover.
So, I don't think I need to speak to this. We're running out of time.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan.
Yeah, love it.
Love it.
What share is it?
Given your recent overseas trip. Anyway, any other councillors? No, we'll put the motion.
Three roads.
Put the motion, all those in favour? It's carried unanimously, thank you. Which now brings us to agenda item 11, reports for noting the FBDC minutes in September quarterly budget report. The recommendation there for the mover. Thank you, Councillor Knight, seconder. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Quirby, Councillor Hall, Goble, Aldridge, Pilgrim and Knight. It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Hartfield and it's okay. I think I might. So agenda item 12 is reports for information. Record of Councillor. Is next. It's for information only. Any comments? No. Decisions register, again, for information only. Any comments or questions? Last bid, no, gone. Agenda item 13 is notice of motions, and there are none. Any general business items? Right, moving along quite quickly through this run of the meeting. Agenda item 15, urgent business, and there's none known at this time. Which now leads to confidential business. And there's a recommendation there before us that the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider matters pursuant to section 3, subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020. And the meeting be adjourned for 2 minutes to allow the public to leave the chamber. Thank you for those remaining and for your endurance. Could I have a mover, please? Sorry, Knight, Councillor Aldridge, all those in favour. That's carried unanimously.
Thanks, Olive.
Thanks for the Christmas card. we ready to go back into public? So, ready now? Thank you for those still with us online. We're at agenda item 18.2 with the adoption of the camera recommendations. There's a recommendation for us there. That the recommendation to the close of the meeting of the council be adopted. If I could have a mover, please. Councillor Hall, second by Councillor Knight. All those in favour? That's carried. Which then leads us to 18.3, the public release of information. And CEO, if you could please read that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In relation to item 16.2, tender for the provision of cleaning services, W4472-25. The public recommendation component is that the tender from Hijex Proprietary Limited for W4472-25, provision of cleaning services for the contract sum of $3,710,942 exclusive of GST over a period of 5 years, 3 years plus 2 by 1 year options at council's discretion be accepted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. Which now leads us to 18.4, which is the chairperson to close the meeting. I'd like to declare the meeting closed precisely 9:24 p.m. Thank you, staff. Thank you, councillors. Good meeting. Thank you for those online as well. Meetings.